hit one button. I was about to start, and let me just make sure. I may have to reset this one particular live. Otherwise, we should be good to go momentarily. Um, yep, I think we're good to go. Okay, in three, two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Now, I'm going to do this one as sub only on TikTok because I want to talk to more of my beloved MAGA. Primarily, I speak to them through YouTube. So I want this live is going to be directed more at MAGA. And listen, there are plenty of liberals that can explain why folks hate Trump as well. But I want to hear this from a MAGA perspective. There's no denying I get a hell of a lot more liberals on the program than MAGA. And I've been trying to change that behind the scenes and by addressing you folks. But there ain't a lot I can do. I mean, fact is, if the program offers any criticism of Trump, people tune out. MAGA tunes out. And listen, this is a free speech program. There is nothing but room for MAGA to come up here and criticize liberals all damn day. It's a free speech platform. However, the fact that Trump is open for criticism as well is enough to tune out a lot of MAGA, and there's nothing I can do to stop that. So, but I always make it clear, my preferred guests are MAGA. We are a MAGA-friendly program. Always have been that way. Damn it, we always will be that way. We're all about free speech. What do we say? We go left of Bernie Sanders to having dinner with Q. So there's nothing we can do about that. But today I want to find out, predominantly from my MAGA audience, why the hell do so many people dislike Trump? Now, I'm trying not to use the H word too much because it does trigger the censors on TikTok. But damn it, when I say H, you know I'm talking hate. You know I'm talking hate. Why do so many people, I'm just using dislike as a synonym for that H word, but why do so many Americans, so many voting constituents dislike the current commander-in-chief? Now, he's not the only one that has been disliked through history. Hell, there's a hell of a lot of people that did not like Biden, Obama, and George W. Bush. But with Trump, it almost seems like we're reaching a fever pitch. It seems to be substantially higher. My guess is it can probably be seen by folks on the right and the left. Folks on the right and the left can tell there is more dislike for President Trump than the notion, than the other presidents I mentioned, mean Biden, Obama, and George W. Bush. The dislike, and Clinton, we can throw Clinton in there. A lot of us are Gen X who's been around for a while. So I want to ask you folks, why the hell do so many people dislike this guy? What is he doing that, or better yet, are they just disliking the man for no reason at all? Is he indeed trying to lead this great nation down a path of success, and people are just fucking disliking him for no damn reason at all? Why do so many people dislike the president? That's what we're going to talk about. That's going to be our primary topic because I want to hear from MAGA today. I want to hear from majority MAGA. We're reading a hell of a lot of comments on TikTok. I see there's already, I'm betting at YouTube rather. I see there's a hell of a lot of folks on YouTube already celebrating Trump. Marvin Long says, Trump is God. How could you dislike God? How could anyone not like God? What was his name again? Marvin Long says Trump is God. How could any voting American not like God? There you go. So we're going to talk about it from that standpoint. I see in the comments, Lil Misa says, Lil Miss Patriot says, I love Trump. There you go. Trump, MAGA, Masa, rocks, ice, baby. Now, what is Masa? Oh, make America great again, make America healthy again, make America safe again. MAGA, Maha, Masa. Rocks, ice, baby. There you go. So there's plenty of folks that like the guy. But I want to hear from folks why. And if you like Trump, that's fine. Maybe perhaps you could even enlighten us on why so many people dislike Trump. That's what we're talking about. Are we really not going to shout him? Are we really not going to speak about him not releasing the Epstein list? We can talk about Epstein anytime on this program. I don't mind that. That's a big topic from both the right and the left. If we get into Epstein, damn it, we get into Epstein. We'll certainly talk about that as well. But listen, it is what it is. We can get into it. But in addition to asking why do so many American voters dislike Trump, and I want to hear from MAGA on that, I'm also going to talk about the fact that Trump yesterday met with Vladimir Putin. And now I didn't come back to do a second show. I had a few things going on, but we're going to talk about whether that meeting was a success. Was anything accomplished? Do you think the meeting was a good idea? I mean, reaching out to another superpower that's currently at war, trying to stop a conflict where essentially over 1 million people have died. I believe Russia alone has lost 1 million soldiers in that. I don't understand what is it about the Ukraine that's worth Russia putting 1 million lives at risk, but I think it's more along the line of Putin is more interested in winning than counting casualties. But we'll talk about that as well. Was that meeting with Putin a success? Was it, a good amount of progress? Was it an accomplishment? Trump states it was fantastic. I think Trump gave the meeting with Putin a 10 out of a scale of 1 to 10. He gave it a 10. Now, here's something out. Now, this is for my conspiratorials, my conspiracy folks. We said we go left of Bernie Sanders to him having dinner with Q. So everybody's on this program is allowed to speak. We covered a gamut of the political sphere. He met Vladimir Putin in Alaska. On Monday, he's going to meet Vladimir Zelensky of the Ukraine in DC. Why is it that Putin got pushed all the way to Alaska, but Zelensky gets to come to DC? Is there something to that? Because remember when President Trump became our commander-in-chief once again, people were suggesting he was pro-Russia, pro-Putin. Nevertheless, and you see how he smiled as Putin came walking towards him, even applauded the Russian leader, but he did make him meet in Alaska. He's letting Zelensky come all the way to the inner, basically to the heart of our nation's capital. He's going to be, I believe, in the White House again. So is there something to that? I want to hear from you folks. Why does Zelensky get to come to the White House, but Putin's got to stay all the way in Alaska? Is that good? Is that bad? Is there nothing to it? I want to hear from you folks. And last but not least, this continues to be a thorn in the side of us all. And no, it's not the Epstein List, but if you want to talk about the Epstein List, feel free to state your questions in the comments and we'll certainly tackle what we can. This is our third topic. We often have more than one topic. Today is no different than any other day. Today is no exception. We're talking about President Trump's federalizing of our nation's capital, federalizing DC. I'm going to ask a simple question. With him taking over the police chief's position, he essentially, he didn't make the police chief resign, but he essentially demoted the guy to the point where he took over all this power. And I believe the courts have ruled against that and kind of stopped the Trump administration or something to that nature. But I believe the chief of police in Washington, D.C. now has his powers back. Trump had took those away. I want to ask you folks, do you see Trump as defending the people of D.C. and doing what's right? Or do you see him as potentially overstating the crime problem in D.C.? Do you see D.C. as so bad, so dangerous, so unsafe that you need to go in there and literally take the police chief away from his job and just flood it with federal agents and let them take control? Do you see DC the way Trump has stated, which he has been comparing it to other developing nations, suggesting the crime rate in DC is worse than it is in a host of foreign nations that are considered to be fairly dangerous? So is Trump overstating the crime in DC? That will be our third topic. As always, you know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor. We'll certainly get right on into the comments and start taking calls. You know we are MAGA friendly. Always have been. Damn it, we always will be. We don't block, ban, or censor anybody's comments. You can disagree with anyone on the program, including yours truly. And nobody gets censored for having a difference of opinion. Your right to speak is your right to speak, and we'll observe and protect that as far as we can until the damn apps have a problem with it. So understand we don't censor any damn body. So if you favor that, by the way, if you favor uncensored speech, this is my first time where I'll start out by asking, follow the program if you're watching on Clapper or TikTok. Give your boy a sub if you happen to be watching on YouTube. And as always, smash that damn like button. TikTokers, tap the screen, get the likes up to 10,000. So looking in the comments right off the bat, also, he is strictly enforcing laws that have been in law for decades. Only difference is he's actually enforcing said existing laws. I don't see anything wrong with enforcing the law. Now, let me just state this. Let me state this real clear. If I flooded your neighborhood, and I'm gonna give you an extreme example. This is 100% fictional. This is not anything more than speculation. But if I were to flood your neighborhood with law enforcement officers, and suddenly people who were jaywalking were getting tickets, people who were doing 1 mile per hour over the limit were getting tickets, people who were not stopping at a stop sign for at least 3 seconds were getting tickets, I could actually state all I'm doing is enforcing laws that normally don't get enforced. Because make no mistake about it, those laws do not get enforced, but yet they are all on the books. Point being made is that you can enforce the law and actually carry out what the laws are and still piss people off. If you get too petty with it, you can piss people off. I'm not saying this happening in DC, but nevertheless, the residents of that area don't seem to be happy. So understand, just using the defense, I'm enforcing the law, is not always necessarily a good thing. You can literally cover the law to the letter, and many of the residents would probably suggest that you're overdoing. Like I said, people are not used to getting tickets for jaywalking or driving 1 mile per hour over the limit, but that is the law. And that's kind of the same argument in the immigration area, where they're now saying if you're violating immigration laws in any way, shape, or form, we're going to get you. I don't care if it's 20 years ago. I don't care how mild it is. We're going to get you. That's like jaywalking, 1 mile per hour over the limit. So looking in the comments though, dude, you have your blinker on, something like that, anything you do. My hemorrhoids are flaring up today. Wow. You had mentioned in the prior live stream that you had hemorrhoid problems as well and use a special cream that works really well. Memory refresher, name of creams. I don't know who the individual is, but we don't mind the comedy. Obviously, that was meant to be a little bit comical. I don't have hemorrhoids and has certainly never got on here discussing the problems of my ass with foreign individuals. Anyway, tap the screen and get the likes on up to 10,000. We'll take the first caller. Bro, are you double streaming smart? Yes, we are on YouTube. We are on Clapper. We are currently live on TikTok as well. Unfortunately, I cannot take calls on YouTube. The app is not set up to allow this. So if you actually want to be an actual caller, you got to be on Clapper or TikTok. Everything is on under the same name, The Handsome Liberal. So if you go to any of those other platforms, you can do that. Why not try to make 15 million good people who aren't doing crime become citizens? It's a good point. But the answer is going to be they violated the law, they skipped the line, so they don't deserve the right to become citizens or something of that nature, So we're going to talk about it from that standpoint. But getting into the actual topic, we're asking, why do so many people dislike the current commander-in-chief? And understand when I say dislike, that is only being said because if you keep repeating the word hate over and over again, some of the apps don't like it. But anytime you hear me say dislike the president, replace it with that H word. Continuing on, are we at 10,000? Tap the screen, get the likes on up. Real quick in the comments, Category 5 Hurricane M is lurking. Is FEMA prepared? That's a great question, Chris. Says there's a Category 5 hurricane named, is it Aaron? Is that what I'm reading, Aaron? I know I've been hearing about it on the news. Hurricane Aaron is lurking. And the question is FEMA prepared with all the cuts? I'm under the impression that hurricane is not expected to hit the U.S. though. I heard it was going to turn or something. I'm not under the impression it's supposed to hit, but what you rightfully point out, there's going to be hurricanes that will hit. And we'll certainly find out if the cuts to FEMA affect that at all. There will be hurricanes that hit. Here's the point. I think what is something, I'm going to defend Trump with this by saying this. For folks who are worried about possible hurricane damage, fortunately, all of the states that likely are going to be hit by very powerful hurricanes are red states. So there probably will be a cavalry coming for you if a hurricane strikes. I mean, what states normally get hit by hurricanes? Obviously, Florida, and for the most part, the rest of them are Bible Belt states. Occasionally, like Hurricane Sandy, it went way up in the North Atlantic. But the overwhelming majority of states that are affected by hurricanes are red states, Bible Belt states. So even though, and I see the comments, Gangsta Grandma says, not true. Really? What non-red states are normally get hit by hurricane? What are you talking about? It's usually Florida, Georgia, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. If it goes inland enough, the North and South Carolina. What are you talking about? Most hurricanes hit red Bible Belt states. What are you telling me? Why do you dislike a sexual deviant predator? Wow, that's a good way to put it. Are we at 10,000? You guys are kind of lazy on the thumbs tonight. Tap the screen, get the likes up. 90% are red states. Yeah, that's Cedric Heine. That's what I'm thinking. The overwhelming majority of states to get hit by a hurricane, a very damaging hurricane, are going to be red. Wow, I'm trying to think any blue state. I can't think of any. What blue state gets hit by hurricanes? I can't think of any blue state. Like I said, other than New Jersey and New York, the ones that are way up there. But most hurricanes don't go up there. You know, Chris Christie with Hurricane Sandy, that's the only significant, very damaging hurricane I can think of that hit a blue state in in my lifetime. I can't remember any of them. I can't think of any other blue state that hurricane. So somebody said New York. How often does New York get hit with a really damaging hurricane? It almost never happens. By then they curve and they go back out to sea. They begin heading east again. Anyway, we'll go ahead and go straight to the comments. A lot of lazy thumbs in here. It's going to be a slow show. Go to Gangsta. I hit Gator. Is that Gator for sure?
Gator HR, how are you?
I'm doing very well. You see what's on the screen there, and good afternoon to you. Why is there so many people that dislike our current commander-in-chief, in your humble opinion?
In my humble opinion, the first several comments that you read off of the YouTube is exactly why. The other side hates. Or dislikes, excuse me.
You mean like Trump is God?
Right. It's that kind of stuff. So anyone that has put themselves in a position to manipulate people into thinking and speaking that stuff back, what are we doing? We have people out here that are making shrines and shirts. They say that he's God, he's this, he's here to rescue us all. What are we doing?
Well, is it just a high level of trust and faith in the leadership capabilities of this president?
No. This is so far past that. At this point, the things that we're seeing, I host lives every day at 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. standard time. I talk to people every day. I'm a middle-aged YT lady that is called every name in the book. It called everything. Hard R's, hard everything.
Wow. You're a middle-aged white woman getting called the hard R? What does that mean?
Hard R on the daily.
Does that mean they're calling you sweet ER?
Yes. I'm like, listen, I'm from South Louisiana. I guess it's because I know how to cook. That's fine. Okay. Whatever you want to say.
Wow.
But that's the type of ignorance. That's the type of comments. And those same people that will come up and call me a Karen, a snowflake, a libtard, a leftist lunatic, all the name woke, which means to be awake, aware, and alert, a snowflake, which are all individual, unique, and beautiful, sheep, which are some of the smartest animals on the planet.
Well, speaking of
name calling.
Speaking of ER, I do have one of my folks on YouTube. I think it says Crankbait says the caller is bitter with an ER. So I got a viewer that's for some reason, I don't know why would someone suggest you're bitter, but I'll let you elaborate on that.
Well, why would I not be bitter? See, this is where the name calling is terrible. That side is so bad at name calling. Absolutely, I'm bitter. I'm pissed. I'm enraged. Why would I not be? This is our democracy. This is our country. We rolled out a red carpet for a war criminal yesterday. and I'm not supposed to be bitter. See, those kind of insults don't work, because the same people that come into my lives and will call me the hard R, every other name, you go to their page and it's nothing but young girls and Bible quotes.
Damn.
I'm a Christian. I love, and if anything, this has pushed me, this whole movement has pushed me closer to God, because I'm like, you know what? I'm not acting like y'all. I want to house the homeless. I want to feed the poor. I want to help people get access to medication, education, food, assistance.
But based on what you're saying,
push me closer into my Christianity.
But while you're being pushed closer to Christianity, let's be clear, the overwhelming majority of evangelicals lean right. It almost sounds like you're trying to indicate they're not godly as a group.
Not their behavior. In what way does their behavior right now reflect that belief?
Well, they do pray.
For what? For people to be kidnapped by the same people who pretended that they couldn't breathe with a little blue cloth mask on during C-19, and now they're covered from head to toe in balaclavas and hoods and covering their faces to protect their safety. They're not having a hard time breathing now.
But when you say
people who are going, my body, my choice, you can't cover my face, you can't make me do this, you can't make me do this, are now clamoring, begging, and demanding that their faces be covered. Well, that they're hiding.
But when you say kidnap, some folks are going to counter by suggesting that they're not kidnapping anyone. These folks broke the law, and they're just simply being brought to justice and deported.
So are those people the ones that were at the immigration hearings doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing? Are those people the ones that are at Home Depot waiting to go to work that day? See, this would have made a lot more sense to me and had a lot more credibility if day one they had went to, I don't know, the jails to start picking up people. If they had went to the prisons to start picking up people. If they had started doing that and going through, that would have made more sense. But one of the first things they did was go, let's make sure we can go into churches, hospitals, schools, weddings, funerals. And when you start going into the courtrooms to detain people who are doing what you quote unquote said was the right way, you've lost all your credibility with me. Mm-hmm. The people that are clapping for an alligator Alcatraz, they're clapping for inhumane conditions. They think it's funny.
Yeah, but the pushback here, but when you say inhumane conditions, they're going to suggest that, listen, anyone that goes to jail in America, you're not going to be housed in any facility that's any better than Alligator Alcatraz. It's no worse than any other housing facility. This is what the alternative argument is on that.
So then my alternative argument would be like, well, I can understand that. Why are 70% of the people incarcerated there not criminals?
Well,
see, the credibility is lost when the majority of people you're picking up are not criminals.
Well, let me ask it to you this way. Let me ask it to you this way. If you are not in this country legally, if you have no legal right to be in this country and you're still here when they capture you, are you a criminal? If you enter the country illegally, for instance, are you a criminal?
No, because it's not illegal to enter the country.
Huh?
When you enter the country, you are to start the legal process. The people who are coming, if you came over here, nobody doesn't want to have legal processes to go through. Everyone wants, both sides, bipartisan, wants people to come over here legally, wants people to come over here, legally, quote unquote, get your documentation, get your information, basically get going. How long does it take to become a U.S. citizen on average?
I mean, it takes a long time, but I got to really push back with the notion that if you're in the country illegally, you're not a criminal. If you're not here, if you're not here in legal standing,
based on our Constitution, if you just come over, you walk right over, that is not illegal.
If you
if you come over that border and you are asylum seeking.
That ain't what I asked you, though. That's not what I asked you.
That is.
Let's say somebody runs across the Rio Grande, or they got a 90-day visa, and they're here on their 93rd day, knowing the visa says you only have 90 days to stay here. Is that person illegal?
If they are coming across and they start the process, that is not illegal. You are asylum seeking. You have time. Now, let me push back and say, we all want the same thing when it comes to, we want people to come across, we want people to seek asylum, we want people to get their EITN numbers, we want people to become a part of the system to start becoming a United States citizen, or if you're here on a work visa, you're here, we have you documented. Everyone wants the same thing.
Okay.
No argument. However, what we don't want is the fact that someone just walks over. Their intent is to start, because when you go through immigration to become a U.S. citizen, on average, it takes approximately 10 years. Okay. Have you ever assisted anyone getting their U.S. citizenship?
No, but I migrated overseas and went through the process myself. So I've done it in another country.
You know how hard and long
it is. Very hard, very costly, very long.
A lot of the things with the Hispanic people coming over, and I have assisted with this myself, is you basically have to do everything in reverse. So you have to write letters to the consulate and you write letters to the embassy on behalf of the person that's here, explaining why they should be allowed to stay and what they've contributed since they've been here. They want to see that you've established work. They want to see that you've gotten married or you have a stable work environment, a stable home environment. They want all these things to prove why you should be allowed to stay. Now, don't you think that's backwards? So what I'm asking for is, obviously, like we say, common sense, pew-pew control, or common sense, blah, blah, blah. What we want, why aren't we streamlining this procedure? Why aren't we making it not easier, yes, but within the confines of common sense. Obviously, if you're trying to come over,
because
you don't have any have criminal record, obviously, no. If whatever.
Well,
but why are we making the process less expensive, take less than 10 years? Because why do you think people are avoiding it?
Well, there's a host of reasons. First of all, why are we not making it easier? Because some would suggest we don't have the infrastructure to let people just come here so easily and cost American jobs, fall on American resources and things like that. That's the first thing. But I want to ask you this. Hold on, hang on. You're fine with that. You do acknowledge that Trump is president. He has a right to make alterations to how you can seek asylum, whether TPS can be legal or not. Because it seems like you're expecting America to behave in a manner that was the way it was under Biden when he's no longer the president. Trump has changed those laws. So the laws you're defending are no longer in existence.
No, what I expect is for him to not spread false information like the border is closed. Because then I have to defend that every damn day with a bunch of dumbass people who come up and want to argue that, right? What I want is for him to say what he's actually doing. What I want him to do is not make false promises. Is that wall paid for and built? No, it's not. Is Hillary locked up? No, she's not. All these things he did on the first time he says, oh yeah, he was going to lock her up, he was going to build the wall, Mexico's going to pay for it, blah, blah, blah. Now I have a fucking huge amount of people that come up every day and they're like, well, he's closed the border. No, he has not. But that's the rhetoric. That's the rhetoric. So we have a whole group of people that genuinely believe, and I'm in Southeast Texas, so I have people in Rhode Island that will argue with me about the border.
I gotta tell you.
You don't know what's going on because you don't live anywhere near.
I don't know if I quite agree with you there. I would just say this. When you say it's wrong to say he's closed the border, technically you're right. However, I can see why they're saying it. It's like if my door is wide open, but I got 100 armed men on my porch and somebody says you can't get in there. Well, technically the door is wide open, you can get in there. But with all those men standing there, you're probably not going to be safe. So when you say Trump has not closed the border, technically no. But when you got half of the damn army down there, ain't nobody getting in. So
nothing has changed. They thought that it was the way it was portrayed on the media, not here, obviously where you live, you see your local news, you see your grocery stores, you see your streets, you see your neighborhoods, you know what's going on.
Okay.
And then you see propaganda on the news pushed to other states they're nowhere near you. If you're not in a border state, you have no idea what's going on unless you've been there.
Okay.
So they portrayed this as we literally had thousands of immigrants crossing every day and it's a war zone. That is so disgustingly false. And that in and of itself, that propaganda has pushed people over the cliff thinking that we have been, quote, quote, overrun. What we have now is a bunch of people that need people to work for them and there's no one to work for them. What we have is 15 farms in the last several weeks in Texas that have closed. Farms. that have closed because they do not have employees. Not because the employees have.
But what's the argument?
It's because they're not coming to work.
But what's the argument? It's not like Trump didn't campaign on suggest. I mean, he literally used the words "America's full. We're going to have the largest deportation in history," and America reelected the guy. So it ain't like he's not doing anything other than meeting his campaign promise. What is he doing wrong?
That is the disgusting part. This was an open book test. Everything you just said is right. He told us exactly what he was going to do.
Okay.
And they didn't listen because they didn't think it would affect them. So this is not my lesson to learn. I am sitting back expecting these things.
But
I love being wrong.
So then the argument should be against the voter, not against Trump. Trump is only doing the job he promised he would do. So anyone that has a problem with Trump, wait a minute, no,
doing Project 2025, like when he said he wasn't.
Well,
and then he hired for his junk drawer, cabinet, most of the authors of Project 2025. I have nothing to do with it. Oh, of course you did.
That's a different conversation.
Almost 75% of that has been put into place.
Yeah, that's a different conversation.
I do not. When half of the junk drawer is Heritage Foundation and half of the junk drawer is Fox News hosts, that is the problem.
Okay.
That's why I won't allow anyone to bend themselves into pretzels trying to defend the behaviors and actions. Period. It's disgusting. It continues every day. It's not my lesson to learn. It's sad that all of us will have to learn it. But these people, mostly YT people, mostly in southern states, whose children are being fed off SNAP, they're going to learn real quick.
Why do you think it is mostly white tea people in southern states? Why do you, out of all of this great nation, all of the different regions of this country, why do you think it's mostly white tea people in southern states, as you state?
Because that is where most of the poverty is. I've lived all of my life in the South. So this is a common, this happens every time. They will vote themselves into the worst position ever, every time. Because your education rates are lower, because your rural areas are denser populated, because you have the mama and papa mentality where you trust your family members around you. You've always heard the same thing. You trust them. Why would they lead you wrong? There's not a lot of free thinking. There's a lot of, you hear the propaganda about you went off to college and you changed. You're liberal. You mean widened your views, learned how to think for yourself, or exposed to different...
I've heard that before, yeah.
Well, that is prevalent in the South. So you went to college and now you think you're a smarty pants and you came back and you're different. Well, you mean they were integrated with people other than just the people they were surrounded with growing up. Demographically, geographically, economically, everything changes your purview when you're exposed to different things. So these people have lived in the same areas for the same amount of time, with the same people, with the same amount of income. And so when they can't afford things because they're continuously going up and they've done nothing to enhance their income, the simple lies work. Trump says 3 and 4 word sentences. That's how he gets people.
Well,
groceries are high. They go to the grocery store. Groceries are high. They come back. They're like, damn it, you're right. Right? Kamala said prices are high, and let me tell you why. There was a merger. We did this. The grocery stores. People are price gouging. We're going to go after this. Da-da-da. And they're like, word salad. No, I'm sorry that you didn't comprehend the explanation she gave and what she was going to do to tackle it. But he said prices are high. You went. You saw they're high. You're like, he's right. And which way are they going? Higher.
Higher.
Just higher.
Higher.
So when I see these gas, I'm going to bring gas down. Where's gas going? Higher.
I don't know about that.
Gas is going higher. Listen, we have several truckers. We have several I run with mostly a veteran community. So we're not even going to get started right now.
I'm not seeing that. Unfortunately, I do got to move it on from you. You've been a great guest.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if I'm seeing gas. Everything else in terms of groceries, I'm not going to disagree with you whatsoever. But gas prices, to me, they seem to be fairly manageable.
Oh no, I'm here. I'm in the South where our gas prices are typically lower all the time than, of course, the northern states and everything because we don't have to transport it as far. So why are we at almost $2.90 a gallon in Southeast Texas?
$2.90. What was it in December before Trump took office the next month later?
Around $2.50 is what we paid locally around here. Around $2.50 in Oklahoma. This past weekend, I was visiting Oklahoma. Oklahoma is at, for unleaded, around $2.78 a gallon.
Now, in defense of Trump, I will say, isn't it common for gas prices to kind of go up around the July 4th holiday and things like that? 40 cents. I mean, is that really out of the norm?
Well, no, it's very common for it to go up around holidays. That's absolutely normal. But here we are in mid-August. So typically they start dropping off right after the holiday. That hasn't happened. But if your question was repositioned to, don't gas prices typically go up under a Republican president, I would say yes.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. Gator, this is our first time talking, is it not?
No. About a year ago when you started, I started coming on here, and then I've been hosting my own just about since then. And I saw you up, and I was like, I haven't talked to Handsome in a long, long time.
Send me an invite wherever you are. I want to come and join your panel as well. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
I'll be on tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'd love to have you, friend.
I got you covered like a blanket. Thank you. Gator TV.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Bye, friend.
You too. All right, moving on with the program. We're asking the question of why do so many voters seem to dislike the president? And as I keep saying, you see the red word there. Dislike is a synonym for hate. I just don't want to keep using it too much. It hurts the apps don't like it. I don't believe in censorship, but unfortunately, sometimes the apps do. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 20,000. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program. We are MAGA friendly, always have been, always will be. What is the Trump objective in Alaska? Meet for a handshake with Putin. Zelensky, I also coming up the objective of Trump meeting Putin is to get a dialogue started. These two men are going to keep fighting each other until the death total goes into 8 figures. I believe Russia alone has had over 1 million casualties. Hell, even North Korea has taken a few thousand deaths in that war. So the objective of Trump is not a bad objective. Will he successfully meet that objective? That's a different conversation. But let's be clear. I think we would all be championing Biden or Obama or Clinton trying to do something to stop the conflict between those two nations. So we don't want to get to the point where, we're not going to get Trump credit for something that, is credit worthy. I mean, if he's trying to stop the conflict, now you may not agree with how he's doing it. We can talk about that. But he is trying to stop the conflict. Is that a bad thing? I don't see that. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 20,000. We'll take the next caller. Going back to the box, continuing on with one of my subs there. Yes, sir, Massa is coming. What the hell does that mean? He wasn't prepared for Putin to speak English and invited him to... Trump is often caught ill-prepared for a lot of world leaders to speak English. Remember the black guy? I forgot what country he's from, but the black leader came over and Trump was like, damn, your English is good. Where'd you learn how to speak it? He's like, in my home country. That's our primary language. Arsha, good evening. Arsha, are you there?
Hey there.
Hey. You might have a... Can you
hear me?
Yeah, you're sick. You got one bar, so you got...
Hold on.
I'll give her a moment.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but it's still indicating you got a weak signal. So,
Can you hear?
Arsha, are you there?
Can you?
There we go. That looks better. Did you move?
I am, but drop. Okay.
Drop you. I heard you say drop you. I'll try that. We'll give it a second. If I was stupid, I would agree. If you would agree with what? Let me know in the comments there. Corn Hammer. Trump's so scared of Putin he had to lay out the red carpet. I don't look at it like that. I don't look at treating another world leader with a significant amount of respect as being scared of him. I mean, are we suggesting that when American leaders go to other countries, they don't lay out the red carpet for our leaders? Does that mean they're scared of us? I think that's going a bit far. If you use words like hate, oh my God. Well, we're using words like dislike today. How about that? And by the way, Kim, it says Tim Keach, says if you're using words like hate, oh my God. let me make it clear. President Trump actually stated, "I hate all Democrats." So think about that when you suggest that it's wrong to use the word hate. Our president used that in reference to his entire opposition. So he actually used that exact word that you're saying you shouldn't use. So keep that in mind. Going back, we'll try it again. We had Arsha up there. Good evening, Arsha. Loathe is worse than hate. All right. Why do people loathe the commander-in-chief? All right, fair enough. Arsha, good evening.
Hi, I'm really
Yeah.
but I'm gonna give it a go. Okay, you
Yeah,
hear me?
it's even worse. It's even worse this time. Yeah, you're not even you're barely even what to say legible. Yeah, unfortunately, Arsha, we'll give it a minute. We'll go to another guest. I don't know if you're moving around. You're away from it, but your signal's really bad. Gangsta Grandma. Good evening.
Hi, Pookie.
That's a nice opening. I like that. That's better. That's a lot better.
Don't get used to it. Don't get used to it. No, please don't. I'm high as hell.
Okay, well, at least you let us know ahead of time. So, why do so many people dislike the commander-in-chief?
Why?
Yeah.
He's hateful. He's a racist. He's a bigot. He's a pedo.
Okay, first of all,
What else do you want to know?
let me start out by saying you have no actual evidence that he's a pedo or he's abused any underage person.
Oh my God, here we go. See, you don't blow my fucking high. I'm fixing to buy me a Porsche, and you're over here gonna blow my fucking high. Oh, you have no evidence. Yeah, you really. Can I ask you something, Tim?
Sure.
How does that uncooked protein taste like today?
This is not uncooked protein. You show me evidence. Give me some proof for you to make a statement like that.
Let me tell you, like I tell you all the time, Tim. So I'm not gonna yell today because I'm in a dealership getting a Porsche. But let me tell you this, Pookie, okay? Buttercup?
I'm listening.
When somebody will not release your files, when somebody's doing everything they can not to release the files, that is not an innocent person.
So based on what you're
When
saying,
you're down the escalator and telling your friend that you want to ask her little girl, or date his little girl in 10 damn years, and shoot a 10-year-old, that is not normal. And he has a history of essaying people. So give me a break about, oh, you got evidence. Because if it was your black ass, and you didn't do it, you'll be underneath the fucking jail begging to get out, and if it was, you was innocent. So
but wait a minute, you're using things like Trump saying he would be dating a 10-year-old girl and some of the.
He did.
I get that. I'm not disagreeing with that. Hold on, but let's take apart what you just said. Him not releasing the files, him passing girls and some of the other statements he's made about his daughter and stuff. But fact is, hold on, hang on. Let me respond to what you've already said. Fact is, Biden has a diary suggesting he slept with a relative. He's sniffing girls' hair, and he did not release the files as well. So based on your statement, then it would be safe to call Biden a pedo.
No. He wasn't sniffing. He was kissing his granddaughter. That was his granddaughter.
He is on video sniffing kids' hair.
That wasn't. Come the fuck on. That was AI. The only time he was on his grandbaby's head when he was kissing her.
I'm just going to say, based on the reasoning you gave for why you called Trump a pedo, most of that applies to President Biden. So are you saying he didn't release the files either?
He didn't have to. He didn't run on it.
And?
Okay, let me tell you something. This is how dumb you mofos are. For one, Biden didn't run on this shit. Cracker Duck did, okay? He ran on it, okay? He got convicted. That dude got convicted underneath Trump. And every damn thing else underneath Trump. So what the fuck are you talking about?
So you're saying that because Biden did not run on releasing files of somebody that was abusing children, you give him a pass for not releasing it because shouldn't he want to do that on his own?
He had other shit to worry about.
Big dog, yeah.
He had other shit to worry. He was getting us out of COVID and stuff. What the hell is a fire got to do with anything? What's his name?
Big dog, thank you.
Your orange Jesus, the one that you drink is protein. He's the one that ran on it, Timmy.
But you're telling me that you're telling me that Biden had other things to worry about. Trump is literally trying to stop wars where thousands of people, millions of people are being killed. Big dog, thank you. Wow, thank you. Do you not give Trump credit for the fact that he is busy trying to stop wars?
Dog walk. He literally got dog walk.
Dog walk how?
For one, you should never bring that moron on our soil. You should never brought his ass on the soil. But then, even Fox News said it. He got dog walk.
How did he get dog? What did he do that was so bad?
Who ran that shit? Not Donald Trump. Not your little corn-fed mofo. Not your little, oh my God, he's our Jesus. That mofo got dog walk.
I don't see how what Trump did is not a step in the right direction to end the war.
Trump didn't end shit.
I didn't say he ended it.
He didn't even get them to. He got dog walk. Russia ran that shit. All the news people even saying it. They thought it was weird. They said it was a different vibe in the room. It wasn't even normal. What the hell are you?
Wait. All the news people, what are you watching? You fell asleep watching CNN? All the news people?
No, that was Fox. That was Fox News that said that. Pookie. They said they didn't even know what was. They said they read the room and it was weird. They even said it. A white woman with blonde hair said it on Fox.
What does that got to do with it? Oh, what if she dye her hair red? Does her opinion make a difference?
I said blonde.
I get it.
Snow bunny? Yeah, one of you little snow bunnies you like? Yeah, she said it. She said he got dog walk.
What does this got to do with snow bunnies?
She was a white woman, Dodo. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. I don't know her damn name.
I'm just simply
He
saying.
got dog walk by him.
I don't.
You bring a dum-dum over to you bring a convicted war criminal onto our soil. That was a big no-no. But you know he had to kiss his ass and suck on him and shit. You feel what I'm saying?
So,
then he didn't even do nothing. He didn't do nothing. He didn't.
Okay. Let me ask you this. And I see in the comments, Paul Saul says EBT grandma, so you got a detractor. But let me ask you.
I got EBT.
That's what my viewers say.
I'm buying a Porsche. Where the fuck does that EBT come from?
Maybe they're saying, can you buy a Porsche on a link card? I mean, that's what they're trying to.
Can you?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Give me a heads up. I'll go get it down.
I'm with you. I don't have a Porsche, so I'm with you on that. I don't even have a fucking Galaxy.
But 2025 Porsche 911.
I just want to be a passenger. Let me ask it to you this way. Would you prefer we not do Trump's method of trying to establish peace and just have the war continue on like Joe Biden, where millions of people are getting killed?
Joe Biden have to help Ukraine. Joe Biden has to help Ukraine, not the ally. We have agreement with him. But he shouldn't even give a fuck about Putin. Putin's never going to stop this war. He went after them in 2014 too. He's not going to stop. I don't understand this shit. You guys are like corn-fed.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because this is right now coming in on News Nation. It's one of Trump's earlier truth tweets or whatever. I want to read this to you, and you give me your opinion on it. I'm looking on my screen right now. It says, it was determined by all that the best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement, which would end the war and not a mere ceasefire agreement, which oftentimes does not hold up. That's something that came from Trump earlier today. Are we hearing the Nobel Peace Prize? You're not giving the guy credit for that? A ceasefire?
You know how pathetic this white man is? He has to beg for a peace prize. He's really begging for one. He can't do shit out of his fucking heart because he doesn't have one. He's a racist piece of shit. He's literally begging. How old is he? 78? What? 90 years old?
He's 79. He's 79 years old.
It ain't gonna be no ceasefire. It ain't gonna be shit. Now, Putin, Trump is his bitch. Like like on your knees to Trump. Trump is like God to Putin. Drinking your own cooked protein, getting salmonella and shit.
Let me ask you this, and I know you don't think this will ever happen, but I'm gonna ask you: if Trump was to get those two nations to agree to a ceasefire, would you give him credit?
It ain't gonna happen.
That ain't what I asked you.
No, I don't give a fuck about that man. He needs to go eat a couple of Big Macs and go to the hospital.
So even if he successfully gets those two nations to stop killing each other, you would not give him any credit at all.
Let me tell you something. He's a racist. He don't like black and brown people.
Evidence?
He's doing anything to get us out of here. I'm not like you. I'm not fluffing. I'll never bitch and knee to the white man. Never.
This is
I
not.
stand 10 toes down. I stand 10 toes down. Fuck him.
How?
Mama.
Why do you?
Else.
And
You know what I'm saying?
you make the perfect topic for this. You just seem to really hate the guy.
He's a racist. He's beyond racist. He wants to be a dictator. He's screwing everybody. You know how fucking pathetic the people that voted for him? That man don't give a fuck about these people. He only wants to give to the billionaires. They fuck their own selves because they don't like black and brown people. They sold their own selves out. They sold their own selves out because they don't like us. They'd rather go without than us being here. Because they're not going to get their food stamps. They're not going to get their Medicaid. A lot of people's getting off on the Medicaid. They're not going to feed their kids in work states, southern states.
Everybody that voted for.
I get EBT. No, honey, I'm buying a brand new car. I wish I could get EBT, but I don't.
All right. Everybody that voted for Trump is a racist, in your opinion.
I tell you, you walk like a fucking duck, you quack like a duck, you're a fucking duck, quack, quack. I don't give that man nothing, because why would I bend the knee to a man that don't like me? Why would I bend the knee when he told that a shithole was Africa, and that we're all criminals and stuff? Why would I do that?
All right.
Why would I do that, Tim? Why would I do that? Why would I bend the knee to a white man like that?
Well, a lot of people do not believe.
Name me one thing. Name me one thing, Timmy, that he's done for your black ass. I'll wait. Timmy.
Well, I'm trying to explain. Well, first of all, his economy from the first term helped a lot of people in the black community. I mean, I'm serious. I'll give you a better one. I'll give you a better one. Even as someone who politically leans left, I'm not going to argue one bit with Operation Warp Speed.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to answer it. I'm not going to argue.
Vanilla poisoning deep in your throat, don't you, Pookie, huh?
What is it called again? Vanilla poisoning?
I know. I said salmonella, honey. Let me tell you. Unemployment was at 14% under him when he left. 14%, look it up. Our economy was going downhill. What the hell are you talking about?
You're talking about the pandemic.
The pandemic, yeah. Go drink bleach. Yeah.
He didn't say that.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Why don't you get some disinfectant and drink a little bit of it?
That he didn't say bleach.
Then we'll put some lights on it, or something about lights, and kill it. What the fuck? Then telling people, and they did it, go get, what is that, I use it for my horses. The dewormer for horses and cows. Well, that would take it away. And some of them got really sick. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well,
and the economy was going down here. And guess what? My uncooked protein looking Timmy? The dollar is going downhill. Okay, the dollar is not good right now. Whole food, that we go to the restaurants and we go and we buy from the whole food stuff, it's sky high. So pretty soon it's going to be worse than what it is right right now.
You realize how much gangster grandma? Do you realize ever since Trump stepped back in the Oval Office, the liberals have been predicting doom and gloom. They told us by July 4th everything would triple in price. It's not happening.
Okay, Tim. Let me tell you something. I don't want to choke you out. Let me tell you this, Tim. I know, and I know, and you like it. Let me tell you.
Why do I gotta like being choked?
Because you know, Whole Food prices, that when I go and I have to order my food for my restaurant, it's in orbit right now. And we have to pass it on to you guys. We have to. We're small businesses. I can't eat it up. The corporation's already saying they're not going to eat it up. They're going to start raising it up to sky high. We get most of our beef from Brazil. Don't you comprehend that?
I do comprehend. I gotta move it on, but let me just say this: is it fair?
After you say it, let me say one thing, and I'll tell you. No, not Whole. See how dumb this fucking Riri is? Whole Foods always been high. Whole Foods sells, not the store, Riri. Oh my God. You know what I tell you? It was nothing about. It was nothing about the egg prices. It was nothing about the beef prices. It was nothing about the cheese prices. This is all about hate. They threw everybody underneath the bus because of hate. This was one expensive hate. Because you know why? You guys sold your own asses underneath the bus. You guys would never be at his table. Never will be at his table. I'm upper middle class, and I would never be at his table. And I would never kiss his ass to be at his table. He would never put none of us at his table because he's always looking for himself. All about himself. Why do you think he only made 3 years, guys? 3 years to give you no tips on tax on no tips, and it's just pennies when all this inflation is going to hit the fucking fan? You guys sold yourselves out to get some uncooked protein for hate. That's what they did. And Tim, they sold your ass out too. And you still, they'll be loving maggots. Oh, that makes loving maggots.
I gotta move it on, gangster. Enjoy that Porsche. I wish I could be a passenger.
That's why I wasn't screaming at you today.
Oh my God. Hey, good conversation. I appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program. That is the one and only gangsta grandma. This woman needs a BBC. Whoa. Who said that Bruno? She's a black woman. She's a black woman. What the hell? Very, 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 very low IQ, says John Word. I don't know if he's referring to me, my last guest, or both of us as a combination. Ghetto grandma got a Porsche money, but not denture money. Why are you guys suggesting that the woman has no teeth? Are you suggesting you can hear that? No, come on. She's a toothless smoker. Why are you guys so hard on my guests? Tap the damn screen, folks. Get the likes on up to 25,000. We'll take the next caller. I see she responded by saying I have a speech impediment, or impairment rather. So there you go. She's stating that she has teeth. She has a speech impairment. So leave it at that. Anyway, tap the screen. Get the likes on up to 25,000. We'll take the next caller. I bet she has a man buying the Porsche. I don't know if that's something, if you lean right and you're talking about, I bet she has a man buying the Porsche. I don't know if that's a conversation you want to have, because a lot of folks on the right believes a woman's job is taking care of the home and the man should be the earner, which kind of indicates that all of the men on the right should be buying the cars for the women. So I don't know if you even want to go down that avenue. Put a MAGA caller on. That's what I would love to do, Joseph. I got to get a MAGA caller to call into the damn program. That's exactly what we want to do. We're MAGA friendly. In fact, that's our preferred guest. MAGA runs from the program because Trump is not 100% favored here. We don't bash a guy 100%. We give criticism from both sides. But MAGA don't like that, so unfortunately, we'll bring MAGA on all day, any day. Uncensored. We don't limit your speech. We don't tell you what you got to say. We don't do any of that. We allow you to criticize anyone on the program, including me, damn it. It's all about free speech. So I can't make MAGA come to the program. Unfortunately, I cannot subpoena my guests. But trust me, if MAGA comes to the program, MAGA gets to speak. Oh, so who is the snowflakes? There's plenty of snowflakes on both sides. I was on a MAGA live before I came here earlier today, and they actually muted me for 7 minutes. Turned off the comments because a lot of MAGA viewers were favoring what I was saying. Literally turned off the comments and muted me. And I was on a panel full of MAGA. So there's plenty of snowflakes on both sides. Looking in the comments, in April, Black women experienced a significant job loss, with 106,000 jobs eliminated, making the largest increase in unemployment among all worker groups. How would that happen, though? I heard that from another source as well. How did it happen where Black women became such, the biggest loser in terms of jobs? What industry is predominantly Black and female that got hit? Is it one of the federal industries? Because you can't just, he didn't shut down industries that are specific to Black women. I would like to know how that happened. I heard it, though. I have heard people say that. I don't know. And by the way, I don't think there's going to be any skin off of Trump or MAGA's back, because that is also the group that gave Trump the lowest amount of support in his effort to get reelected. I think only 7% of Black women voted for Trump. Kamala got like 91 or something like that. There's a few points there, independence and stuff like that, but 91%, I think, voted for Kamala Harris. So I don't think Trump cares if they're the biggest loser in terms of employment. They didn't support him anyway. And I do believe that is wrong to not be concerned with part of your constituency just because they didn't support you. But I'm just simply saying that's kind of how Trump works. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. If you don't help me, I don't give a damn about you. That's kind of how he works. And if only 7% of Black women voted for Trump, I don't think he cares about them being the largest loser in the job numbers. Looking in the comments, though, Black women too busy stomping Black men. Alfred, where are you getting that from? We don't want to hear about Trump University. Why do you want to bring up Trump University? Goes back decades. What is the relevance to Trump University in this day and age? I get it. The customers, the students at Trump University felt like they were scammed and duped. The courts ruled that they were scammed and duped, and they had a settlement. That's an adjudicated case. If you want to bring it up, I guess we could discuss it, but where's it going to go? He lost. It was proven that there was a large portion of fraud. They made promises to help students out after graduation, and they didn't do it. They promised to give them mentors and things like that once they graduated to help them in their financial journey, and they didn't do it. And the people sued and won. So I don't know what else you want to talk about in regards to Trump University. I bet she's gumming the men for that Porsche. Let me go back to the box. I don't know where that's going. Gen X, fuck around and find out. Now there's a MAGA caller. Gen X, good evening, welcome to the program. Maybe you can help me understand why so many voters dislike the current commander-in-chief. Why do you think that is?
For the exact same reason that so many, if not more, dislike the former commander-in-chief.
Elaborate.
Our paradigms, our beliefs, and our morals are different than what they're preaching and what they're pushing. I'll give you an example. The reason I dislike Joe Biden is because he was pro-abortion.
Okay.
He was pro-trans. He was pro-illegal immigration. Those are all the things that I just disagree with, I dislike, and as a result, I dislike the individual who's going to push that onto all of us.
Okay. So
I'm saying he doesn't have the right to do it. That's what politics and being American is all about. But that would be my reasons for disliking him.
So you said Biden was pro-abortion, pro-illegal immigrant, and pro-trans. So is it safe to assume you are anti-abortion, anti-illegal immigrant, and anti-trans?
110%.
Okay, fair enough. Now, you know that folks are going to hear you say that, and they're going to think that you are... Now, illegal immigration, nobody should be pro-illegal anything. So I'm with you there, but it's the other two. They're going to suggest that you are against letting a woman decide what she wants to do with her body. And of course, you don't have any love for the LGBTQ community. They're going to say that categorizes as almost like hate. Explain.
I would not categorize my perspective on the trans community as hate. I would categorize it like for people that want to normalize and celebrate mental illness, legitimate mental illness. I'm not okay with that. I think our society's fucked up enough without trying to poison the rest of us with irrational and illogical beliefs.
So you believe every transgender person is mentally ill?
100%. If you wake up at 35, 45 years old and decide, I'm a woman now, and you've got a schmeckle longer than mine, bruh, there's something wrong. The wires got crossed somewhere. You ain't thinking right.
Well, let me ask you this then. What if, as opposed to waking up at 35 years of age, as opposed to waking up and thinking I'm a woman now, what if you've been hanging around certain groups of people and at 35 years of age, you wake up and think, my skin color makes me more superior than others? Do you see that as mental illness?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
All right, fair enough. So then you would assume, just like the left, suggesting that trans are mentally ill, you would say the left has a lot of mentally ill people among their ranks. The right has a lot of people that are like I just described among their ranks. So you would assume you would agree that the right also has a lot of mentally ill people among their ranks too then.
I would agree with that, but I would throw in that I don't think it's as prevalent. I think there's a hell of a lot more lefties. I'm not going to say Democrats. I'm going to say liberal progressive, because I know a lot of Democrats that are old school Democrats, and they don't agree with that shit either. I myself was a Democrat and voted for Obama the first time, and I joke and say, oh, I got drunk and voted for him and woke up and was like, he actually won, but that's not the case. The truth is, I voted for Obama legitimately back in the day because I thought it was something different. I thought that, and then after the first 4 years, I was like, nah, I'm done.
What did Obama do that you found?
At the end of his term, when Trump came down that escalator, that's when I switched. That's when I went full-blown conservative.
I'm trying to think. Okay, you voted for Obama. It's not like he hid that he was pro-choice. I don't know how much. I mean, he obviously was anti-illegal immigrant because Obama had huge deportation numbers as well. But he was obviously pro-choice, and he was at the very least pro-gay marriage because he legalized it. I don't see how you can vote for Obama and then switch over to Trump when they are literally political opposites in regards to their policies.
Obama was more than pro-gay marriage. He married a man.
So you're suggesting that Michelle Obama is not the gender she portrays?
I'm fucking with you, bro. I don't believe that. There's a lot of memes about it, but I don't believe that. No, that's a woman.
Okay, fair enough. And you do believe you believe Obama is also an American too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was born in Hawaii. If I'm correct, I believe he was born in Hawaii.
Okay. All right. So you don't agree. So in other words, you may have a lot of people in your own party, or the party you now associate with, which is Trump, because a lot of them say exactly the opposite is. So what is the party just making up lies?
And they've got a right to believe that. I absolutely believe they have a right to believe that. Just because I don't believe something doesn't mean that the next man can't believe something completely opposite, because that's just not that's not rational to me. Just because you and I don't agree with shit, it doesn't mean that you're wrong, and it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It means that we have different perspectives on a given subject matter, and that's okay.
Wait a
There's
minute.
nothing wrong with that.
How could you say it's okay for them to believe things that are totally false, but suddenly when a man believes he's a woman, he's mentally ill? I mean, if you're believing something that's completely ridiculous, such as Obama was born in another country, when, as you admit, he's born in Hawaii, or his wife's a woman, and they're saying he's a man, how are they no less mentally ill than the other folks you're complaining about?
Because that's legitimate mental illness. It's clinical mental illness. Up until the Obama administration, it was categorized as gender dysphoria. We've since moved away from that to welcome these people into our community, to make them feel comfortable, to be tolerant. You know what tolerance is? Tolerance is for unprincipled men who don't have a backbone or balls and aren't willing to speak up when something is wrong.
Yeah.
But that's all tolerance is.
But did you hear? Let's take your phrase. if you wake up at 35 years of age and you think you are suddenly a woman, you're mentally ill. What happens if you start looking at Obama's wife after she reaches a certain age and you suddenly now think she's a man when all of her life she was referred to as a woman? How is that any less mentally ill? You're seeing a different gender in her out of nowhere. The same thing you're saying the trans is doing. How does that make them any less mentally ill?
I think more people than not, and I'm not gonna say all because I don't know what's in somebody else's head. But I'm gonna say for myself, I participated in the memes too. I posted shit just to piss off the liberals, never once actually believing that. And I think that is a big clump to those quote unquote mentally ill people that we're talking about.
So they're not actually mentally ill. They're just pretending to be crazy.
No, they're just memeing is what they're doing.
Well, if I pretend like I'm a woman, even though I know I'm a man, you'd call me mentally ill, right?
That's called gay.
No, if I started dressing up as a woman and telling people I was a woman, even though I knew I was a man, you would call me mentally ill.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's what they're doing. That's exactly what you're claiming that they're doing, is they're calling her a man even though they know deep down she's a woman. They're pretending to be crazy, according to you.
No, that's you're
I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm hearing you out.
You're mixing apples and oranges now. If you go to a Halloween party, dressed like a woman and acting like a woman, knowing you're a man, and then the next day you fucking go back to work and you're normally that's not mental illness.
What if I did it year round? What if I did it year round as opposed to just on Halloween?
If you did dress like a woman year round and walked around with makeup and a beard and a schmeckle bigger than mine, you're a fucking fruitcake. You're a nut basket.
Okay, then what if they're sending out those memes year round? They're not sending out memes that Michelle Obama's a man only on Halloween. They're doing it year round. So it sounds like you're saying they're a fruit basket.
Do you understand what a meme is?
I understand what pretending someone is a different gender than they are. You told me that if a person pretends like they're a different gender, they're mentally ill. They're looking at her and pretending like she's a different gender. They're saying they see a man instead of a woman. That's exactly what you just referred to as mentally ill.
I don't know how else to explain it to you, Tim.
I'm trying to make it make sense.
I just did. And you're twisting it around, and you're not. You're just skating, and you know what I'm saying. MAGA Reacts called you on this, and he was absolutely right. I applauded him for it. I get what you're doing because I do it myself. I absolutely do it myself.
No, I'm actually.
I know. Let me say this. I know 100%. You're an intelligent man, and you know exactly what I'm saying because I've heard you flip the script and defend Trump just to be devil's advocate.
No, I don't, let me just say this. I don't necessarily agree that a transgender person is mentally ill. I don't necessarily believe that. I think there could be all kinds of reasons for why somebody might, maybe they feel it. Because here's the thing I always say. What I don't understand is that everybody knows that our maker, whether we're talking God or whatever deity you go by, everybody knows our maker does not make human beings exactly alike. Some are born with 10 fingers on one hand. Some are not born with the whole hand entirely. Some are born with autism, like Elon or some. People are born all kinds of ways that we don't often consider to be norm. But for some reason, when it comes to hang on. But for some reason, when it comes to sexuality, we expect them to all be born perfect, as if there can't be born a different way. In every other aspect of life, they're born with cancer, they're born with their hearts outside of their body, they're born different in every other aspect. Why can't a man or a boy be born thinking he was a girl? Can you explain that?
Because they're born mentally ill. You left that one out. Conveniently.
Okay. So you see, all right, I hear what you're saying. I hear how you're phrasing it. I just don't agree with that totally. I still believe, and by the way, I still believe that if you feel the way you feel, that a person looking at themselves as one gender while feeling another is mentally ill, then I'm going to say the same thing applies to anybody looking at Michelle Obama and saying that's a man. I don't see any difference in that. You just do.
All right, well, we'll agree to disagree, I guess.
You either know what a gender is or you don't. Period. I mean, if you're going to say a person who does not know how to identify gender is mentally ill, then when you're doing it to her, you're being mentally ill.
That's a stretch, but okay.
Right.
Hey, I want to address something. That
Sure. What you got? What you got? Go ahead.
The whole Putin, Zelensky, Washington, and Alaska thing. There's a very logical explanation because I thought about that when you mentioned it. I was like,
Okay.
that's a damn good question. And I thought about it, and if you think about it geographically, Russia is not going to send their leader over enemy territory. Ukraine, Europe, transatlantic flight. It's much safer for him and more secure to fly over Russia to Alaska. And it's much more, 100 times safer for Zelensky to fly over Europe and the Atlantic than to have his happy ass flying over Russia. Because I would bet money he wouldn't make it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean America has to let him in D.C. I mean, they can fly him all the way to Alaska over U.S. territory. Just have him go the long way or go over the polar ice cap. You don't have to fly over Europe. I mean, if Russia wanted, because you can fly from Russia over the polar ice cap and drop down over Canada and into America that way too. So I mean,
But you can't do that from the Ukraine.
well, what's north of the Ukraine? I think Belarus, Romania, and then you go. I mean, if you leave Ukraine, you're gonna. I mean, the Ukrainians, for the most part, are viewed as allies now to most of the Western world. So really, any direction they take, unless it's over Russia, is a decent direction for Zelensky. Now, Putin really can't fly hardly any direction because he's viewed as an enemy to most of the world.
Right, exactly. That would be my point why you blow over Russia. If my geography is correct, north of Ukraine, to get to a northern route would take them into I don't remember the name of the body of water above Sweden, but that's mainly Russian controlled outside of Swedish maritime territory. Okay. So, I mean, they've got all kinds of shit up there. So why would you even take the chance?
Yeah.
Fly them through Europe, over the Atlantic to Washington. Yeah, you could bring them to Alaska over the United States, but that's another 5 hours.
Yeah. That is, you make a point. That's a good point. That is the safest for Putin because Alaska, as Sarah Palin once stated, Alaska and Russia are pretty close. She can see it from her house. But Alaska and Russia is pretty close. So that is, I mean, he can stay over his whole country, and then he's only having to cross a very small body of water to be over Alaska. So he could literally fly from Russia to the United States without crossing anybody's territory.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. I'm certainly not in that circle of trust, so I don't know. But logically, to me, that makes sense.
But I'll say this, we've brought Benjamin Netanyahu to this country recently, and he's a war criminal everywhere Putin is. All in the Western world thinks that dude is involved in genocide, and he came over here. So, I mean, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Netanyahu and Israel and America are also homies. They're real close, and if they fuck with Netanyahu, they're going to get a lot of backlash from the United States.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. In fact, I really dislike Israel, and one thing I dislike about Trump is all the help he's given to Israel. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. And you know how I feel about both sides in the Middle East. The Muslims, the Israelis, all of them want to see us Americans, Gentiles, infidels gone. The only difference is the Muslims have the balls to do it themselves.
Well, the thing is, we're paying for most of the Israelis' military. I mean, I think like 70% is coming from. I don't understand why MAGA's not more upset about that. You can bitch about money going to USAID, looking out for kids with cancer and shit like that, but you're funding one of the wealthiest countries in the world. You're funding their military, and MAGA's fairly silent on that. Now, in our debate circles, people do speak out like you. But for the most part on the world stage, MAGA ain't saying shit about the fact that we're paying Israel for their military. And they got plenty of their own damn money. There's no reason for that.
Bro, I argue with them all the time about that. And I debate them all the time about that. And it's a no-win situation with some people. They believe what they believe, and that's okay too. You know, like the live you were on today where they muted you for 7 minutes.
Oh, you were there?
Oh, yeah, I was watching that. Hey, I won't even go on Dee's live because I don't like the way she talks to people. I've been on it once, and you know me, I'm not a man of little words, man. I let her know. and I was initially kicked and banned from her channel. Now I guess I'm allowed in there again, but I won't go on there just because I don't like to be talked to like a child.
Well, you know I enjoy a good conversation with MAGA, but unfortunately, yeah, if you start, for some MAGA, they just do not like a counterpoint, and that's one of them where they're talking all over you, they're banning you. I mean, as people say, snowflakes. They're doing exactly what MAGA often accuses the left of doing. They don't want to hear an adverse opinion.
The conversations I've heard you had is with LJ. You two crack me up.
Yeah, well,
you and Lumberjack.
But I want you to, before I let you go, because we're talking about MAGA and why they defend Israel. You may have heard this before, but I'm sure a lot of my members have not. This is why the right is not saying much in regards to all of the money that Trump is now helping Israel. I'm not saying Biden didn't do some of this too, but right now the America's purse strings are in Trump's hand. This is why the right ain't saying shit about us continuing to take care of Israel.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use it.
It's in Genesis. So you're quoting a Bible phrase you don't have context for and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two...
Hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And
what does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what? Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So does that...
That's a fucking sitting senator making it clear that he is governing based on religion. What happened to separation of church and state? What happened to MAGA speaking out against that? I mean, he's pretty clear that he's avoiding, he's ignoring separation of church and state 100%. He's governing straight out the fucking Bible. And you don't hear nothing from MAGA. Why is that?
I disagree with Cruz.
Damn right, so do me, so do I do. But why is there no outcry from MAGA?
Because a lot of us believe what he's saying. Not me included. I don't believe what he's saying, and let me explain why. He properly quoted scripture. I'll give him that. But he was taking bits and pieces out of the Old Testament. Somewhere after the Old Testament, this guy came along and walked on water. I believe his name was Christ. At that time, we got a new scripture called the New Testament. In the New Testament, nowhere does it say anything even close to what the Old Testament says where protecting Israel is concerned.
Gen X.
Israel, but nowhere does it say that you protect them and this and that. That's all bullshit.
Gen X. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's the Old Testament or the New Testament. You're not supposed to be governing based on biblical prophecies. You're not supposed to use our military based on what God is telling you to do. I mean, that's what he's admitting, that God is the reason we're going to war on behalf of Israel.
Well, we are a Christian nation based on Christian fundamentals. That I agree with. I see that part of it, but I think he misproperly quoted that. I don't think that whole Jew thing. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it at all.
All right, I don't want to hear anything.
Wrong. I might get the fingers shook at me when I get upstairs, and St. Peter's like, we got to have a conversation about this whole Jew thing, and I might be screwed. But my common sense tells me he was going down the wrong track on that.
And my common sense agrees with you. Gen X, always a pleasure. Appreciate you coming through, man.
Brother, have a great weekend. I'm moving to Helena tomorrow. Can't wait to get on the road.
Best wishes to you. Catch you on the other side, brother.
Talk to you soon.
All right. And here's what I will say. And he's right. There's probably a large portion of the Republican Party. I'm seeing folks in my comments that agree with what Cruz is saying. I don't want to hear shit about Islamic fundamentalists anymore. I don't want to hear a damn thing about you know, the Muslim religion tells you to go to war. If you are backing this, you're no different than an Islamic fundamentalist. You're no different. You are using God as a reason to go to war the same way they might use Allah. You're no different. You just think your way is right and their way is wrong. You should not be, look, this is my humble opinion. Maybe this makes me more liberal than most. Who knows? Fucking libtard, whatever you want to call me. But you should not be using God as a reason to decide whether or not in a country that claims to be separation of church and state. You notice that anytime this type of stuff happens and you bring up church separation of church and states, the comments start blowing up with people talking about one nation under God, which is essentially admitting that the separation of church and state thing is a lie, which is admitting it. You're not even backing up the fact that they stated separation of church. No, we're under God. Then why even put that down as part of how the country will be ran if you're not going to adhere to it? Why even say it? I mean, that's like literally admitting that at least part of what the founding fathers said was a fucking lie. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 30,000. We'll continue on with the program. To me, that should be upsetting to anyone. To anyone. So that means the nation of Israel is essentially perfect then. If God is telling you to do Israel's bidding, then there really is nothing Netanyahu can do wrong. Because you're not going to judge Netanyahu. You're acting on behalf of God. So he can do any damn thing. Because at the end of the day, it's in the Bible, you should protect Israel. Who cares what he's doing? The Bible says protect Israel. Do you realize, you ever heard of the term sheep? You ever heard of the phrase somebody being in a cult? Meaning that it doesn't matter doesn't matter how something goes, you're going to still go in that direction anyway, even if it means walking off of a fucking cliff. I don't see how this is not defining that, where you are going to put yourself in a predicament that it does not matter what Israel, the leadership of the Israeli government does, because God says defend it. Doesn't matter. I'm hearing nothing but bah. That's all I'm hearing. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 25,000. We'll take the next caller. Continuing on. So what he's saying is he doesn't agree, but that's why voting is important, because if the biggest majority says no, then that's just how it will go. True, but I'm just going to say it doesn't matter majority, minority. No sitting senator should be saying what he's saying here. I don't care if he represents a party that, let's say, for instance, Bernie Sanders is a good example. Bernie Sanders, for the most part, represents the Socialist Party. The traditional Democrats don't like Bernie Sanders. So he essentially is or just like Paul Ryan. They are pretty much their own party. They're not part of the traditional party. I don't care if he's the only person representing that party that's in the Senate. You shouldn't be saying what Ted Cruz just said here. It should never come out of the mouth of anyone currently serving in government, period. He is literally admitting that he is governing straight from the Bible. There's no denying of that. And the fact that the right is not in uproar about this kind of removes any right they have to defend against any liberal that says they're trying to shove Christianity and God down people's throats. If you're okay with him saying that, you would be okay with shoving God down people's throats, because that's clearly what he is actually doing. If you join the military, you join to serve and defend this nation. You don't join to serve and defend God. That is not part of the oath. But that's what he's doing. Looking in the comments here, though, those who curse Israel are cursed, and those who bless Israel are blessed. And those who don't believe in any of that shit should be referred to as free. You shouldn't. Everybody doesn't believe in everybody doesn't believe in God or the Bible. There's no requirement to believe in Christianity to join the U.S. military, but yet they may use you and put you in harm's way where you could possibly be killed defending Christian principles. So I assume, and this is just me speculating, but I assume if you are a non-Christian and you are told to go defend Israel or anything they got going on there, you should be able to opt out of it based on the fact there's a sitting senator that is admitting we're using God as the reason why we're here. If you're not Christian, you shouldn't be forced to be in that. If the country is going to suggest that we are in favor of religious freedom, any soldier that is anything other than Christian should be able to use that as a reason of, I don't want anything to do with what you guys got going on in Israel, because you're admitting you're doing that in the name of Christianity. They should be able to opt out of it. They should be able to opt out of it when you got a sitting senator saying something like that, and the leading party has no problem with him saying it. Should be able to opt out of it. Camera's over here, bud. Well, no, that's not true. There, who said that? I got to put my spectacles on. Your toxic city. Folks, understand. I'll go to the next caller. By the way, tap the screen. Get the likes on up to 25,000. Understand, I have 4 cameras aimed at me, so you're going to see me looking every damn where. We're currently on Clapper, we're currently on TikTok, and we're currently on YouTube. So I got multiple cameras on. So if I'm looking away from you, it's only because there's comments. Each screen is flowing with comments. People are typing shit to me all over the fucking place right now. So there's not just one camera. Love from Pakistan, brother. I do see that one. Thank you. I can't pronounce your name, but thank you. The Bible is inspired by the Holy Spirit. Men themselves could not have done it alone. I'm fine with that. But if you don't believe in the Bible, you shouldn't be forced to fight on behalf of it. Continuing on with the program, and we'll go straight to Elliot. Good evening. One of my subscribers there. Elliot, welcome to the program. What am I, Elliot, what am I getting wrong? Am I wrong in suggesting that it looks like this guy, Ted Cruz, sitting senator in Texas, is governing straight out the Bible? Elliot, are you there? Okay, apparently Elliot is not there, so we'll move on. Oh, shit, and it sounded like he was coming. We'll go to the next caller then. We'll continue on with Toots Sweet, I think that says. Good evening, welcome to the program, Toots, or actually it's Steven. For some reason, the box is playing. Steven, good evening. Steven, are you there? Steven, I can hear him moving around, but apparently he's not next to his device. Okay, fair enough. We'll do it again. Wow, we don't normally get 2 in a row like that, but we'll go to Toots. Toots Sweets, good evening. Welcome to the program. What kind of God demands you only worship him to receive his grace? Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question, man. That could be a whole show in itself. Toots, good evening.
Good evening, my friend. How you been?
I'm doing good. What am I getting wrong on this? Let me have it. What am I getting wrong here?
What was the exact quote, if you don't mind? I actually don't disagree with you on this, but I want to hear the exact quote, if you don't mind.
Okay, it's about 30 seconds or so. I'll play it again from this.
Well, I was taught from the Bible.
This is Ted Cruz talking to Tucker Carlson, and this is not that old. It's only, I believe this has taken place since Trump has been in office.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the.
It's in Genesis. So you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Hey, where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
Okay, now he's arguing back and forth with Tucker Carlson, but you hear him say biblically we are commanded to support Israel. What say you?
Well, I don't think he said that. He said he personally. That's his personal belief.
I don't know. Wait a minute. He said. Let me just hear it again. Maybe you're right. Let me rewind a few seconds back. I want to hear that now that you're saying that he said it that way.
What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
He didn't say he believes that. He said he just said it is.
Well, he says from the Bible. He says that's what the Bible says. So he believes what the Bible is saying. Him personally.
Okay.
The Bible isn't our constitution. It's what he believes. He believes in the Bible.
Yeah, but he is a senator of this country, making it clear that he is doing things based on what's in the Bible. So he can literally be sending men and women off to war, not based on any threat to America, but just because God is telling him we should do that.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly what he's saying, but I mean, listen, you can interpret it that way, maybe, but I don't see that. I see him just saying that I don't know exactly what they were talking about before this and how Israel came into it, but he's saying that the Bible says, the way he interprets it, that people that Israel's the blessed people of God, and if you I don't really know. I don't know the exact.
And also, with us having this conversation a little bit more in depth, you're correct. He uses the phrase "God said bless Israel." That could be anything. That could be sending them money. That could be sending them anything they ask for. I mean, how you bless someone? Because I've heard people say, you blessed me with a few dollars. That could be anything. I mean, it's just saying we need to be giving stuff to Israel, whether it's manpower during war, whether it's money. That could be anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. It could be. Yeah.
And do you find any issue with that, or any concern that a sitting senator is saying that?
Well, I mean, that to me isn't, do I agree with everything every senator says and every president says? No, of course not. So do I agree with that wholeheartedly? Not really, to tell you the truth, but that's not a make or break for me,
Okay, let me ask it to you this way. Do you support governing this nation from the Bible at all? Let's say, I know you don't know for sure if he's doing it, but let's say somebody came out and admitted, I am governing from the Bible. Would you have a problem with that?
Well, it depends on what, I don't know, if he's governing based on the Ten Commandments,
I said the Bible.
Well, yeah, I don't know. When people say the Bible, how do you govern by the Bible? That has nothing to do with our country. That's I'll tell you who does do stuff like that is when we have a lot of these leftists. They're governing on a different kind of religion.
Okay, let me clear it up. I'll let you give you plenty of time. Would you have any problem if a politician said, I am governing this nation from the Quran?
I would want to know, this is what I'm saying, I would want to know, what does that mean? What part of the Quran are you doing this on? Yes, I would have a problem with that. I would have a problem with that also. Like I said, I agree with you. If they're basing it off of the Bible, I don't know what that means exactly, because the Bible has a lot of different verses in it. I think when people talk about the Bible, they're talking about the Ten Commandments is really what I think they're basing it off of.
Bro, the Ten Commandments says things like, thou shalt have no other God before me. You want to govern off of that? So in other words, America has to recognize this God and put that God as a hierarchy. I mean, yeah. You're okay with that?
I'm not saying that I'm for that or against that. To me, that's not the end of the world. There's a lot of bigger fish to fry, and the Ten Commandments, the way I see them, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not, I guess I'm alive, I have to say, thou shalt not, all of the basic common sense, basic moral values.
Well, one of the Ten Commandments, I believe, if I'm correct, and I'm trying to bring it up as we speak, but I believe one of them is thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife. You want to make that illegal? You want to govern based on that?
No, it's not, these aren't anything that is legal or illegal. It's just like a moral principle, moral values.
Okay, then how would you govern? We're talking about governing. So generally, when you govern based on something,
I'm sorry. You know what? Now I get where you go. Governing, I don't think governing is basically principle. Is basically the rules that we have under the Constitution. That's it. There's no governing. It should be blind. It should have no emotion. It should be, it should be basically right and wrong. That's basically governing. Now, when all that other stuff comes in, where people want to put their empathy and where they want to put their emotion and where they want to look at some laws that aren't as, these laws we don't have to really look at. These laws are more important to them. I think that's wrong too, but that's just individual people. Everybody's gonna bring something to the table when you vote for them. You have to know where they stand. What laws are they going to want to enforce more? Like the Democrats are more lenient on people coming across our border. Trump is more stringent on people coming across our border. So the laws are there. How do you enforce them?
But getting back to what we're talking about governing. So in other words, you don't agree with governing based on the Bible, then?
No, I do not.
Okay, all right. That's what I was trying to find out from you.
It's not based on the Bible. We govern based on our Constitution.
Okay.
The Bible, to me, is more of morals of the person.
Okay, because I'm looking currently at a simple summarization of the Ten Commandments. Number one, you shall have no other gods before me. I'm certainly, that's, to me, maybe you have a difference of opinion, but that has no place in government, because that would essentially mean that we're going to treat all the other religions as if they're somehow less than in terms of Christianity. That's not religious freedom, and certainly, I guess if you're an atheist, they're not going to like you either. And number two is you shall not make idols. That's what this one says. The second commandment is you shall not make idols. That would kind of really throw MAGA into the garbage can, considering that they're wearing tattoos and putting his face all over cars and shit. That would be a clear-cut violation of the Second Amendment, because I got folks in the comments that said Trump is God. So that's a clear-cut.
Trump is not God. I believe Trump is divine intervention, but definitely he is not God.
He's an idol to MAGA, though. He's clearly an idol.
He's not. He's a breath of fresh air. He's somebody that's finally standing up for our values, where we've been literally set. We've been literally tossed aside, and everything that we stand for, the country that we see and love, has been being destroyed by people that infiltrated this country and don't have its best interest. And Trump is the first person that came out actually speaking on behalf of the people.
I've never seen somebody tattoo a breath of fresh air on their body or put a photo of it on their car.
You know, people have tattoos of Obama. You know that, right?
That's an idol. I don't. And by the way, I've never seen anybody with a tattoo of Obama. There's a lot of people with tattoos of Trump.
They're out there.
Okay. But like I said, that is a violation. And by the way, the liberals would never tell you to govern based on the Ten Commandments. It's the right that would be telling you this stuff is more favorable. So the second commandment is.
I agree with you. I don't agree that we are governed by the Ten Commandments. I believe that we are a country that we support freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of expression. So that's fine. But I think, to me, it's more the left that puts their doctrination and their idiocy more into the public square and pushes that on us than the right does. The right.
I'd have to see. Give me a left-wing example of that is stronger than what Ted Cruz just said on the internet all over the place where people can see it. There's no stronger example than throwing your religion out there than what he just said.
The whole trans agenda was being pushed upon us in schools. I don't know if it still is. All of that. The whole global warming agenda. These are religions. When you look at global warming, why? I'm going to show you.
You see global warming as a religion?
Yeah. Watch this. You ready for this? Check this out. When you look at people on the left and they're flying around in private jets and doing all of this shit.
That's hypocrisy. That's not a religion.
It's hypocrisy, but let me tell you how it's a religion. You know, if you commit a sin, you have to repent, or you have to do Hail Marys or whatever it is in the Catholic religion I'll just use for example. Well, in the global warming religion, when you fly a plane, they say, oh, that's okay because I repented and I planted 10 trees. Or it's the same thing. It's like
global warming is a religion?
Yeah.
What is your definition of a religion?
It's kind of like a cult following, really.
Okay, we can talk about, I don't even know if I would see it as a cult following, but a religion. I don't see something. Here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. Hold on. Here's what I mean.
It's a belief. It's a belief without any tangent evidence.
But here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. When you say religion or a cult following, if you truly believe in that cause, you'll spend your last dime. You'll give your last dime to Jesus. You'll drink the Kool-Aid for a cult. I mean, you'll do everything you can for. I don't see liberals. I don't see liberals spending their last dime to. If I can buy a cheaper car that's a gas guzzler and I cannot afford a Tesla or something like that, most liberals are not going to figure out a way to get that Tesla if it'll break them. That's not a cult following. They will buy that gas guzzler or that polluter if that's all they can afford. A cult leader won't do that. If somebody's in a cult, they're going to either figure out a way to get that Tesla or they're going to walk. I don't see the liberals in that same religion you're talking about.
Well, it's a religion could be a cult depending on, how, like you just said, how insane you get into it. It could be just a belief, right? So what do? They believe that in global warming, right? So now this is where the cult comes in, where the left's in a cult. So here they are, they believe in global warming. They loved Elon Musk. They had Teslas. He had all the electric stations. And then as soon as Elon Musk went against their religion, they literally started burning down all of his Teslas, keying his Teslas, destroying his electric cars. Their whole thing is about electricity and against gas, because they're in this global religion. And then as soon as the global leaders, their priests, I would say, told them he's blasphemous. Elon was blasphemous. They went out. They're literally burning down his cars, keying his cars. I saw one guy. I saw him snap out of the religion. I literally saw him get caught. This one dude, he gets caught. They're like, what the hell are you doing, dude? He's like, I saw his whole face. He just was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. He said, this isn't even me. I don't know what got into me. Because they are brainwashed in this crazy religion.
Okay, let me interject in this, because let's go with what you're saying about how the Democrats are, in this code about global warming, even though they do things that are completely hypocritical. Would you not say the same thing with any conservative that states they believe in God and how they're evangelical and they are going with the 10 Commandments, which the 7th commandment is thou shalt not commit adultery, but yet they elect a president who's done it over and over and over again and suggest he is somehow close to God? Would you not see the same type of reasoning? That you voted for a guy that's violated damn near every one of these commandments that you believe in. Tell me, what's the difference?
Well, the difference is, that's why I'm saying, we are for our Constitution. We are governed by...
You're evangelicals. You're claiming to be Christian. You're claiming that the Democrats are godless, yet you're voting for a guy that violates everything you believe in.
Yeah, but I'm not voting for him to date my sister. I'm voting for him to run my country because he's the best man to do the job. I'm not looking for... Religion is a personal thing. I run my life. So Trump is more of a man of God than he ever was.
So to make this country great, you would vote for somebody who completely goes against God's principles.
Well, he doesn't go against...
That's what you just said. You do understand that many of the 10 Commandments Trump has went against. So how is that not the same? You said...
I agree with you that we're not here to... we shouldn't have the 10 Commandments. That's not what runs our government. It's a constitution that runs our government. The 10 Commandments is more. It's a moral fiber. It's how you. It's like it puts the morals into you. It has nothing to do with running a country. How does it? So when you were saying about Ted Cruz, he's just giving you his moral conscience. Trump doesn't have that moral conscience. That doesn't mean, to me, I don't care. I think Trump's better than Cruz, who's got the moral.
So going against your beliefs on the going against your beliefs on global, what do you call it, climate change, going against this and the hypocrisy in that, you're pointing that out. You're pointing out the transgender stuff. All of this stuff you can clearly see, but it's totally okay to put a guy in the White House that goes against the 10 Commandments that were handed down by God.
No, what I'm saying is that I was showing you how it's also a religion, how the liberals have their own religion so they take out God from the religion, and their new God is the green gods, the global warming gods. You don't believe in global warming. He doesn't believe in global warming. It's the same thing. He doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in global warming. If you talk to a Democrat and tell them you don't believe in global warming, they look at you like you're blasphemous. It's the same concepts. I'm just making.
I hear what you're saying, but you're talking about the leader of this country is not following the 10 Commandments, and we're comparing that to people who are favorable to trans.
Now I'm going to show you the difference.
Show me, please. Show me.
Right, the Republicans just literally elected a man who doesn't believe in their religion because they're not in this cult following. The Democrats would never elect anyone who didn't believe in global warming. If you had a Democrat who said, I don't believe in global warming, it's all bullshit, every Democrat would freak out. They would not believe it.
Wait a minute. Let's tackle what you said about the Democrat hypocrisy, which is they say they believe in something, but they're not doing it. People brought up Leonardo DiCaprio flying expensive jets while talking about he believes in global warming. So the difference is, because you say the Democrats would not vote for somebody who says they don't believe in global warming. The problem is they're telling you they do. So no Democrat is coming out and saying, just like Trump would not say, I'm not a Christian. Well, he did say it once, but now he's claiming to be a Christian, even though he's doing exactly the same, he's doing the exact same hypocritical stuff you're accusing the Democrats of.
But Trump Trump doesn't have to. He didn't have to say anything. His whole record is there. Everybody who voted for him knew about his infidelity. Everybody voted. We all knew all of that. He's an open book. No, there's nothing there about Trump that nobody knew about.
They know he's an open book. His record is there, yet they're calling him God.
Nobody's calling him God.
Bullshit. Hold on. I make it clear on. I make it clear. Sir, I make it clear on the program. I've been to a couple Trump rallies. I literally stood in line waiting 5 hours to see Trump and had one of the supporters in line next to me tell me that Trump was sent by God. I had somebody tell me that to my face, so I know it happens.
Yes. I said he was sent by God, but God doesn't send perfect people. He sends us imperfect people to do the job. He sends you the right man for the job. That doesn't mean it could be anybody.
The right man for the job. He sent the right man for the job. The right man for the job is a guy who don't even follow the 10 Commandments.
Well, he follows most of them. I see it a little different. I see what you're saying. You can make the case. But the point that I'm making is that our side, we are not so stuck in a cult that if anybody said they were not for global warming, watch what the Democrats do. I know. I live here in New York City. Every time they ask me, I'm like, they're like, you don't believe in global warming? Oh my God, how can you not believe in global warming? Oh, this guy. They think I'm crazy because I don't believe in global warming. They're global warming. It doesn't even make sense. And the facts are on my side. I mean, I grew up. I'm probably a lot older than you. I was born in 1963, so I grew up when it was global cooling. I was global cooling when I grew up.
Well, I grew up. I'm not as old as you, but I grew up when Trump was saying he was going to release the Epstein List. So things have evolved a little bit. So I got to move it on. I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Yo, always a pleasure, my friend. We'll do it again.
Anytime. Good spirited debate. Come on through. My door's open anytime for you, man.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. All right, moving on with the program. MAGA is allergic to facts. Someone says that in the comments. I got to put the spectacles on. Bear with me, folks. Like I said, I got several screens with a bunch of comments flying on them. Bright ass lights on my face at all the time. So you're gonna see me put the spectacles on occasionally. Who said that? Summoners 9082 says MAGA is allergic to facts. Real quick in the comments and tap the screen. A lot of lazy thumbs in here. We should be around 50,000 on the likes. A lot of lazy thumbs. Tap the screen. I'll take the next caller at 38,000. Tap the screen, get the likes up. All you have to do is step outside to know there is something different about this heat, period. Well, listen, I'm no scientist. I'm no environmental, any of that. But I do trust science. Just like during the pandemic, I'm not a virologist. So I'm going to trust listen, even the physicians can get things wrong. Even the scientists can get things wrong. That's why they often refer to it as a practice. Your doctor is, they give you something they think might help cure cancer or send you into remission. Oftentimes it fails. But they know more about it than I do. So that's the same way I looked at Dr. Fauci. Is what he's doing guaranteed to be right? No. But it's probably more likely to be right than what I'm doing, or what the janitor is doing, or some dude that works for the bus company is telling me to do, or even Trump. I'm going to go with the guy who has studied viruses his whole life. If it's a novel virus and nobody knows what the hell's going on, then I'm going to at least go with the guy who's had a career in studying viruses. He may see something there. So that's the same way I look at it here. I'm no scientist on climate change, but fact is, I don't know how many scientists are saying climate change is not real. Just like when the pandemic hit, how many folks, in terms of favoring versus not, how many were saying don't get vaccinated? The overwhelming majority of the medical community was saying get vaccinated. The overwhelming majority of the scientific, the meteorology community, they're all saying climate change is real. Who am I to say it's fake? They got way more knowledge on this than I do. So I'm going to go with what the folks who have been studying this shit their whole lives. And I mean, that's not something that is American made. That's worldwide. Worldwide, they're saying that. What am I supposed to say? They all don't know what they're talking about, and I know? And ask Neil deGrasse Tyson if it's true. Yeah, he definitely believes it's true. Great guy. I like his stuff, by the way. I think arguing religion with people that agree with your views is what they want. True. That is probably true. That is probably true. And that's why I always have an issue here. And I tell folks all the time, it can be challenging when you have a program where you allow everybody to speak. And that's what we do here. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. And the problem is most of us tend to watch and enjoy content that only speaks and addresses stuff in the way we favor. If you lean right, you're probably watching right-wing media. If you lean left, you're probably watching left-wing media. You don't see a lot where everybody is showing up. You know, if you lean right, you might get one or two liberals on every 50-50. I'm willing to take whatever comes through. You don't have to agree with a damn thing I'm saying or anybody in the comments. We take anything that comes through, and you can state your opinion without being censored. By the way, if you enjoy that type of a program, follow if you're watching on Clapper, TikTok. Give your boy a sub if you're watching on YouTube. Are we at 38? Tap the screen, get the likes, and we'll take the next caller. If you can be as nice as possible to everyone you meet in life, shouldn't be a problem. Now, there's going to be a problem because some people are going to be out to take advantage of you. Being nice to everybody you meet in life does not guarantee you won't have a problem. In fact, you'll probably go bankrupt, and depending on if they're attracted to you or not, you might get violated. You can't be nice to everyone. Everyone does not have your best interest at heart. So far, all I've heard is the Democrat side. I haven't heard any conservatives. Well, you didn't listen to the last couple callers, I take it. my last caller was absolutely not a Democrat. Absolutely not. You ain't been listening to the program. There isn't two sides. There never has been. Newsflash. You got to explain that a little bit more in detail. Climate change used to be called summer, winter, spring, and autumn. It's a hoax. Well, no. I don't know if the change in seasons has anything to do with rising tides. I mean, you wouldn't look at a 130-degree day in Alaska as summer. I mean, you would certainly see something wrong with that. No, there's more to it than summer, winter, spring, and fall. I mean, no matter where you live at in this country, there is a parameter on what the temperature should be like on a given day. I mean, if you live in, let's say you live in Minnesota, where it's really cold, it shouldn't be negative 50. I mean, there is a parameter. I mean, so no, it has nothing to do with just the seasons. You can tell when records are being broken. When you hear them constantly say, this is the hottest day in July we've ever had. This is the coldest day in November we've ever had. That shouldn't keep happening over and over again. That's not just a normal winter when you're breaking records throughout the whole damn season. That's not normal. Seems like climate shifting places getting snow that never did before. Yeah, for instance, there's a reason why Trump is talking about us acquiring Greenland. Shit is melting there, and you can now get access to minerals underground. That didn't used to happen. If you can now sail through areas that were formerly covered by ice because the ice is melting, that's not normal. It didn't melt last winter. Why is it melting this winter? That's not normal. So there's a whole lot more to it than that. Somebody said I don't like pedophiles. What are you indicating there, Davey? What does that says? I'm not going to Deuce Boost or something. What are you indicating there? Are we at 38,000? Tap the screen, get the lights on up, and we'll continue on. Changing seasons have been normal for centuries in regions away from the equator. Yeah, we're not talking changing seasons, though. We're talking about changing records. We're talking about changing records. You should not have a whole bunch of days where ever since we've been keeping track of records, all of a sudden these days are hotter or colder than ever before, or it's raining more than ever before, or we've had less rain this year than ever. I mean, you shouldn't be breaking fucking records all over the place. If you want to suggest that the whole planet is cyclical, then that means everything should keep happening the same way it happened last year. If all of a sudden you're breaking records, it's not cyclical anymore. Something is changing. That's the point being made. Changing seasons is normal. Then this winter should be very similar to last winter. If this winter is not anywhere near like last, that's not cyclical. This is something different. That's the point we're making. The only records we have is from when we were here. We don't know much more. True, that is true. But now you're talking about you're broadening out the cycle, and even in that case, like I said, when you're talking about the polar ice caps and stuff melting like that and things like that, is there a history to show that happened before? When whole lakes start disappearing, you go, well, you know that lake disappeared before 10,000 years ago. If that's the way you want to look at it, I'm just going to say it like that. When you start having whole areas flooding out, well, you know, it flooded here 600 years ago the same way and washed everything out. I mean, if that's the way you want to look at it, go with that. I'm just going to go with what the scientists said, just in my humble opinion. Yes, there is a history that shows Antarctica with no ice. We have maps that were drawn. Well, then, based on what you're saying, if you want to go that far back, I suppose you wouldn't see anything out of ordinary if a Tyrannosaurus walked right by you, because it happened before. I suppose that's what you're saying. All of a sudden, a big-ass mammoth walked down the street. Well, you know that did happen before. Ain't nothing new about that. There's records in history that shows mammoth exists before. It's just a pterodactyl on the roof, nothing big. Is that what you're suggesting, that because it happened before? Nothing's out of the ordinary, right? Let me go back to the box. Keep speaking facts, my brother. I'm trying. They see it differently, though. They see it differently. Don't lie because the guy upstairs will know. Okay. They say it's fake because they don't want to believe it. No, I don't think it's that they don't want to believe it, King Finn. I think that there's profit in denial. There's profit. I mean, obviously, big oil is making a fortune. So if you buy into the whole climate theory thing, you're affecting all of the people that make money off of big oil. So there is a financial incentive to deny the reality in climate change, because you're talking about potentially destroying a whole industry. They're going to fight that tooth and nail. It's no different than when it became clear that tobacco was causing cancer. They fought that tooth and nail. They were doing everything they could to get doctors to say that was not true and denying it. Because you're talking about destroying a whole fucking industry. And it's really, and the truth has really hurt the tobacco industry. They didn't want you to know that. I mean, it's the same thing with big oil. They don't want you to ever believe that, because you're going to hurt, you're going to cost trillions of dollars in that industry. They're going to fight that. When they say follow the money, they often are on to something with that. Money has a lot to do with it. People are going, there are whole rumors that people have created combustion engines that run off of garbage and water and all kinds of shit. And big oil have bought the patents and threw it away. I mean, they're going to fight tooth and nail to maintain that industry. Don, good evening. Welcome to the program. Then stop cruise ships and airplanes. You don't have to stop it. I'll just say this real quick. Hang on a second, Don, when you come up. I think most of the way we travel can actually be done by alternative means. But the only way that's going to happen is the government's going to have to subsidize the research and development of it. And you got to get big oil out of the game in which they're trying to squelch this stuff. I mean, the idea that we're just coming out with electric cars in the 2000s, that technology could have been around. They could have been advancing alternative ways to propel vehicles. You don't think big oil had anything to do with how long it's taking to get off of gas? You don't think they had anything to do with that at all? So you got to get them out of the game. When we say cruise ships and all this other stuff, there are other ways to propel all of that shit. You just got to get the folks who are making money in preventing that technology from succeeding out the game. That's what's happening. My last guest didn't come up. The first electric car that ran on batteries was in the 1940s. Exactly. So from 1940 to now, what are you talking, 80 years, 80 plus years? That technology could have been further along. It absolutely could have been further along. If there is anything plastic in the electric car, made with oil. Okay. I don't know what the point is, though. I mean, eventually, then you first you deal with the engine, or what's the biggest use of big oil, and then you start dealing with the small shit. Okay, so first you make sure the engines are running on something else, and then if you want to start addressing what the seats and dashboard and everything else is made out of, then you do that next. It's simple, but you got to start somewhere. Going back to the box, King Finn, good evening, welcome to the program. King.
I ain't gonna bother you for too long because I see you trying to get away from that shit you said yesterday. But I want to ask you,
what shit did I say yesterday? Listen, you can throw anything at me. What did I say wrong yesterday?
How did that comment you made yesterday about that meeting between Putin and Trump fall for you? What comment did you say? You said he's gonna try to get something out of it.
Yeah, and as that I can see right now, I don't see where he got anything out of it. Well, wait a minute. I will say a little bit. Hold on. Well, first of all, Putin has invited him to Moscow, so they obviously ain't pissed off with us. But according to Trump, they're going to skip over they're going to skip over some kind of pause and go straight to a ceasefire. So I want to say this: the jury's still out on it.
But don't you see that as a stall tactic? You don't see that for what it is. We all knew him going into that meeting wasn't going to mean a damn thing. Because all he was going to do was continue to give Putin time. The more time you give Putin, he's like Batman. The more prep time you give him, the better off he is. Fucking Putin is a motherfucking war criminal. And we're sitting playing footsie with this motherfucker. How do we roll out the red carpet for him?
Let me say it this way. In your toxic city, appreciate the support, says love what you're doing, boss. Thank you, your toxic city. I will just say this. Let me hear, he's meeting with Zelensky on Monday, I think it is. Let me hear, now if Zelensky says, fuck no, this sucks, then I'm with you. But let's hear, because he got something he's got some type of, I guess, position that Putin has on this. And then he's going to meet with Zelensky, I guess, and then they're going to see if they can hash out the other side. Let's see how Zelensky responds to it. And then I can agree or disagree with you.
How about the notion that they wouldn't let Trump go into that beat by itself? Because last minute they changed the idea from it just being Trump and Putin to being Trump and a couple of his advisors. Because they knew he wasn't going to do shit but go play footsie with Putin's ass.
As a liberal, that should be huge fucking progress. You don't want him to do that by himself.
To be honest with you, I don't want him to be president. But hey, we don't all get what the fuck Trump do.
Right, I agree with that. But
I don't want him to be a traitorous, fascist fucking... I'm going to try not to spaz out on you, bro, because I understand sometimes I get a little bit far, and I know you might not have had great gangster grandma on here yet.
I've had gangster grandma. Gangster grandma is still watching now, and she was actually rather calm today. She was purchasing a Porsche, so she was at the dealership.
Oh, well, shit, that's a whole nother fucking subject. Yeah. Congratulations to her.
Shout out to gangster. Shout out to gangster.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I ain't mad at her there. But back to what I was saying. All of these motherfuckers talking about climate change is fake and we don't know what's going to happen. And your last guest saying, oh, you was sent by God. You motherfuckers don't believe the truth because you don't want to believe it. You want to be willfully ignorant. That is the term for today and MAGA. You are willfully ignorant to the shit that you are seeing play out right in front of you. Period, point blank. You're willfully ignorant to the idea that he's on the Epstein list. You're willfully ignorant to the idea that he's been a fucking pedophile, or excuse me, a pedophile.
You don't have proof of that. I'm gonna say that. Gangster grandma said the same thing. You don't have evidence of that.
Well, if it walk like a duck, talk like a duck. I mean, wait.
She said the same response too. She said the exact same response.
We don't have evidence for that, but the victims of the, the essaying that he did, what, they just killed themselves for nothing, or they're lying on him?
It sounds like you bringing up remnants. Seems like you bringing up remnants of Hillary Clinton's death list. I mean, they can say the same thing about Hillary Clinton.
Hey, they can, but we ain't talking about Hillary Clinton now.
No, that is true. That is true.
We're not talking. Hillary Clinton ain't the one.
But here's the point. You can't call the man a pedo with no solid evidence. You can say it looks like a duck, walks like a duck. I get that. But at the end of the day, there is no official evidence of, and if you were in the public eye, you'd be dealing with a very slenderous lawsuit because there's no evidence of that.
Okay. Well, if you say so, I'll let you have that because I don't feel like arguing. I'm trying to
let me just be clear. If there was solid evidence that Trump was a pedo, I'm on board with you because I do have serious questions on why he is deliberately being evasive with that Epstein list. I'm 100% with you, but I am going to say that it's an allegation, it's not proof.
Well, send out the list.
I agree with 100% agree with that. 100% agree.
You can save all of that. Just anything you want to say, you can save all that by just releasing the list.
100% agree.
So I'm contained and go back to the next topic I was going to say about this fake ass federal takeover in DC.
Yeah.
Homeless up. And you federalizing the DC police for ICE to be on the streets all day long and not really do shit but bother black people. Okay? Because you know all he's trying to do is he's trying to this is a precursor to what he's going to do to what you were talking about with a couple of your callers yesterday about him federalizing Chicago and federalizing the rest of these black or these democratic ran cities, because that's what he's trying to do. See, he got all the Mexican people out, so then he can send all the black people back to the field. So what I want to know is I want to know where Stevens is at. You remember Steven off of Django?
Oh my God. So let me ask you this, then. If it's going to be as bad as you're saying, do you think black people will actually stand up and revolt? I mean, if the goal is to put us in fields, I mean, that's pretty draconian. I mean,
because hell yeah, I'm gonna be one of them. You're gonna have to unalive me real quick, because baby, I'm not going back to the fields. I had a Nigerian guy tell me one day when we were in a coffee house back. I don't know. This is back when I was in college. We were having a conversation about social issues in different countries, you know, just having a cool conversation in a coffee house. Well, something I said must have made him mad, because his reply was, well, me no cotton picker. And I mean, to be honest with you, after I heard that, I asked him, what the hell did you mean by that? And I hate to say that I was warring with my brother, but at that time, I lost all control of my foot in my hand. I literally proceeded to throw furniture and fuck him up.
Damn.
Because I don't know what you mean by saying me no cotton picker.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a cotton picker.
Well, let me ask you something, because I mean, the Hispanics normally, you know, the Mexicans and them folks, they know, you know, we often have phrases like, you know, the Mexicans will cut your ass or whatever. Why haven't they stood up? I mean, their communities are getting ransacked. I mean, brown people getting stopped everywhere. Why have they not stood up? Are they weaker somehow than black people? If you're saying that blacks would have a revolt, they're not doing it, and yet their neighborhoods are being saturated.
I think it's because they are outnumbered and outgunned.
And you don't think the black community would be outnumbered and outgunned? It's less of us than them.
Nah, man, I don't think so. You know what the problem is? Black people don't stand together. If black people stood together, it'd be way more of us, and it'd be a hell of a lot harder to stop us. The idea that we don't stand together is what's messed up, because the Spanish people, Mexicans, and Latinx, they do.
That's the point I'm making, though. Is they have more unity than the black community, and they have more numbers than the black community, yet they're getting torn apart.
I can't tell you what the object that word or what the solution to that is, because I would see it. I kind of see it as a effed up or fucked up, you know, idea. I don't understand why they ain't standing up neither.
But you feel confident the black community would.
Oh hell yeah! I'm not worried about the black community, Playboy.
All right.
They not throwing. See, when you talking about when you talking about the black community or the police ain't the only motherfuckers that got pew pews.
No. I agree. Hell, I might be one of those. I agree with what you're saying, but the point you just made that the black community does not stand together, that means you can create traitors and division among the community to get your agenda done. I'm talking about ICE. If they're not standing together, you can pay some of them off to snitch on the other ones.
Well, when it comes to the police, we do stand together.
I see a lot of folks on the stand snitching against each other in the courts across America every day. I don't know if they stand for you. I don't know if they're as unified as you're saying they are. It's a whole lot of snitches in the hood.
That's just like they were saying it was Black Lives Matter was at Jan 6. So hey, I mean, you know.
I want you to be true. Real quick, MAGA reacts is on Clapper. He wants me to ask you, do you think there is a PP tape?
For Trump?
Trump, over in Russia.
Yeah. It's probably sitting on Putin's desk, or in his safe. More than likely. I mean, hell, how do I know? MAGA reacts to have it. He seemed to stay on Trump's tip like that.
MAGA reacts is a Trump fan. You know, the crazy thing is, I mean, you know, just like when Dennis Rodman, what the hell they take King Finn down for? Unfortunately, my guest has just got dropped by the app. I don't know why. I just got notified. For some reason, the app does that sometimes. And King, you should be able to appeal that. I don't think you said anything that was that significant. Try it. But Just like when Dennis Rodman went to North Korea, I'm a huge Dennis Rodman fan. Been a Rodman fan since the '90s when he played for the Bulls. One of the things I was saying when he went to North Korea, I'm like, I bet that guy getting plenty of pussy because you're going to a country where you're meeting a guy who has control of the whole country, where nobody can say no to him. And Dennis Rodman was a sexual deviant. I mean, that guy was banging everybody. I'm just going to say there could be some comparisons to Trump. I'm not saying a PP tape exists, but if you're hanging around Putin, which Trump was doing, and the man got virtually unlimited control of the country, he can really make sure you have a good time when you hear it. If this is what you like, I'll lay this out for you when you get here. So I'm not saying that tape exists, but I damn sure don't feel confident enough to say it does not exist. Because him and Putin had, they were working on business deals. I believe that before Trump ran for office in 2015, he was on par to have the largest skyscraper in Russia built. He was going to be part of that. So obviously you're not going to be doing business in Russia as an American without Putin at least knowing about it and being involved in it. So it wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me if there was something like that out there. I'm not saying it is, but Trump had a fairly favorable relationship with Putin before he became president. He already had a relationship with Putin before he became president. So, Trump obviously likes Eastern Europeans and Russian girls. I mean, you've seen his wife. So I'm just simply saying the idea that it's impossible, I don't buy into that. We're on TikTok and Clapper. There is no phone number. Somebody asked, what's the phone number? If you have the Clapper app or if you have TikTok, you can come over. We'll bring you right up. Justin, I think it says. Looking in the comments, though, what about the Jeffrey Epstein list? I don't think you're ever going to get it. My opinion, you're not going to. Let me just say it this way. Does it fucking matter? If you're liberal, does it matter at this point? If you get the Epstein list at this point, now that Trump has taken Ghislaine Maxwell from maximum security, considering that she's a serial pedophile. She was where she should have been. He's taken her from that and put her in a minimum security camp and is even refusing to state he would never pardon her. He was even flaking on that. Well, I haven't really thought about it. She's a serial pedophile. The answer should be no. There's no way in hell I'd pardon her. He hasn't done any of that. Then his former lawyer goes to privately meet with her. Point I'm making is this: considering how much he has already improved the quality of her life, would you trust anything she said at this point other than this guy is guilty? If she says anything else that would exonerate him or paint him in a good light, would you even trust it at this point? So when you say, well, release the Epstein list, doesn't even matter at this point. I'm going to tell you flat out, the liberals ain't going to believe it anyway, because you can be certain that it's not going to paint Trump in a bad light. And now that Trump has done so much for this lady, the incentive for her to lie and make him look good is all over the place. Now, I'm not saying that she would be lying, but I am saying by Trump stepping in and doing all this shit for her before hearing from her, it really hurts any of her credibility in regards to President Trump. That's why he should have released the list on day one like he led people to believe he was going to do. Or release whatever you got. To release nothing several months in, no. Like I said, at this point, and listen, this isn't liberal delusional liberal shit. The right wouldn't believe anything that was being spoken in favor of somebody on the right after they done all of this shit for the actual suspect. You don't took her from maximum security to minimum security. She absolutely has a reason to lie on your behalf. You're talking about you don't even know if you might pardon her or not, which means for all we know, Ghislaine might have been told, you're only going to spend 3.5 years in here at the most. I want to make sure before I leave the White House, I got your... I mean, he didn't come out and say no, he wouldn't pardon her. So flat out, anything she says at this point it's going to have little to no credibility with the liberals if it doesn't Trump as being anything other than a bad guy. So I don't think there's anything's going to come out of the Epstein list that's going to please the Democrats, because I don't expect Ghislaine to say anything bad about Trump. Nothing at all. Why would you? He don't look out for you big time. Big time. So to me, the credibility is shot. The minute you start giving her, cushy camp settings and talking about you haven't thought about partner yet and stuff like that, and then your lawyer goes and privately meets with her. Look, if you can believe in a rigged election against Trump, but you look at that Ghislaine Maxwell shit as if that's reasonable and fair, then you're being biased. You're just being biased. Looking in the comments, man, you have a lot of people coming in and out of your lives right now. And Clapper, well, Clapper's a little bit different there. Who was that? That's on Clapper, somebody is saying that. Handsome corner here. Clapper's a little different. I don't know how to work the FYP on Clapper, so the numbers are off. Clapper in Instagram, which is why we're going to be doing lives on Facebook soon. So for you folks that enjoy this type of dialogue, this type of conversation, I'm going to ask that you, as you see been scrolling behind me the whole time, follow the Tim Liberals page on Facebook. That's our next platform we're going to start doing lives on. Tim Liberals with an S. Tim Liberals. Just go to Facebook, search that, Tim Liberals with an S, and follow it. Do your boy solid. Follow that page, because that's where we're going to be live next. Real quick before we continue on. Love Rodman. I've seen him at restaurants, bars, and strip clubs. Well, you were in Miami, MAGA Reacts, I believe. So, yeah, certainly he's been down there partying. Putin is a great guy. Based on what? What would make you say Putin is a great guy? Based on what? Dencal, good evening. Welcome to the program, Dencal. Would you trust anything coming from Ghislaine under these circumstances, Dencal?
No, not from her. I don't want to hear anything from her. I want the documentation, the investigation. I don't want to hear from her.
I mean, I hate to say it, but shit, would you even trust the documentation if it's released by the Trump administration at this point?
Listen, there's a lot of information that was accumulated from a lot of different sources. So are we going to believe it? No. But the information being out there as a whole, so we can see the redacted names and stuff, because if you know anything about redacted names, people know how to figure out
who it
redacted.
is. Yeah.
And that's all I wanted to do, is be out there for rational people to make a conclusion. Right now, everything is just a guess. Everybody's just, oh, he's in it, he's not in it, I don't think he would do this, blah, 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 blah. I just want all of the information, all of them investigations before Trump got involved and before he started trying to control the narrative. Those people who were actually doing the investigation, who were talking to them, they was talking to Maxwell, and they was talking to Epstein himself. They were talking about Trump. He's not just, his name is not like just mentioned in passing. Like they saying he was a part. They said, how many times they said so far, which we don't really know, is they said his name was mentioned 80 something times. Like, that's not just a business partner who just happens to do stuff bad. That they was in communication. They were talking about all of the stuff where he never flew on his plane, but people forget that they used to swap planes.
Yeah. To me, when you look at the all of the different things Trump has said that is like, kind of really crossing the line, or at the very least borderline, and then you're hanging around somebody who's actively been convicted of doing the same thing you've been talking about, kind of doing yourself, it is hard to just look at Trump and say, no, he ain't never did nothing like this. I mean,
the man said out his mouth with no prodding or nothing. Yeah, I got pissed at him because he stole young girls from me.
Yeah. I mean, and if it was just one misstep or one statement, but I can think of about a good half a dozen of crazy shit he said over the years off of the dome without even knowing it. The passing a 10-year-old and saying, I'll be dating her in 10 years and me and my daughter have sex in common, and he's talking about a 1-year-old baby, about what the breasts are going to be like. Look, he said so many of these things that what did he say? My daughter's a hot piece of ass on Howard Stern. He said so many of these things. It's hard to just look at this guy and say, no, he ain't did nothing like Epstein. When Epstein has done the exact same stuff he's talking about, and he's been hanging around the guy for years. It's real hard to do that.
They asked him on the Howard Stern show. They was like, "Do you have an age limit?" He was like, "Well, not really. Well, I wouldn't go as far as 12." He said, like 12 is too young. Your standard's supposed to start at 18. You know what I'm saying? Even if you like them young, you supposed to say 18 and under. Nah.
I kind of wonder why Howard Stern asked him, "Do you have an age limit to begin with?" Maybe he had already heard rumors about it.
It's because they had already threw around.
That's why he asked
Epstein, liking them young.
Yeah, you wouldn't go to somebody like J.D. Vance and ask him, "Do you have an age limit?" You asking him that because you kind of probably already heard some shit. That's why he asked Trump something like that.
You gotta remember, they also were having conversations, and Trump was telling them he get to go into the Teen USA pageant. He get to go in the back and look at them half dressed, is what he said. And so we all know, like, I don't know what would make a rational human being just come out of the blue, just like Glenn Beck said on his little scenario. Nah, President Trump, nah, he doesn't, I can't see him. He talking about, if he was in if he was on an island with 25-year-olds, I could see that. But I just don't see Trump as that kind. Dude, what kind of evidence do you need to determine, at least say it's possible? Like, these people are just downright saying that, nah.
I mean, my response would be, if you hadn't heard him say that about his daughter, about the 10-year-old, could you see him saying that? I mean, could you see Trump as being somebody that will go past a 10-year-old strange kid and say, "I'd be dating her in 10 years"? Would you have been able to see him saying that? The answer would probably be no. So, yeah, he's clearly...
A lot of those people have not, or had not to this point, even heard all of this stuff about Trump, because people don't really know Trump's history. They just assume, I heard his name on some rap records and everybody loved him. And no, everybody knew he was a piece of crap back then. He just wasn't. Look, nobody had a problem because he wasn't in charge of the whole damn world.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing is, anytime, if you lean right or if you support Trump, anytime you hear something negative, the first thought is that it's the liberal media making up shit. I mean, I think that's where, because we don't done a lot of stuff on this show of things I've talked about Trump, and that's the first response. You must have got that on CNN, or you're getting that, and then you show a picture or video of Trump actually saying, I never saw that. I never heard of that before. So
it's amazing, because I'm thinking to myself, like, how could we've been going through all of this, and they have selective, they selective about the information.
I don't think it's selective. I think it's a case of, like I say on the program all the time, it depends on where you get your news from. If you're watching Fox, that 10-year-old, that ain't going, Howard Stern, that stuff, they're never going to play that. If you watch Fox or OAN or Newsmax, that's your primary source of information. You will never hear anything about that. There won't be any liberal guest that brings it up. It will never come up.
But a lot of the stuff that they should have got information from it's different if you never know it's out there. It's another one if you say, I'm not going to read the case where his 34th, where he was convicted.
They're not reading that.
I didn't look at that stuff. I don't know. That's selective. And it's not that they don't know about it. They just choose. I'm not going to even look at the stuff, the E.G. Carroll case, none of what he gets on that and basically says that, she wanted it. She told you she wanted it. Isn't that what she said? When they say, do you get to sexually assault women? Yeah, well, it's been like that through millions of years in history. Like, they never seen that. They don't want to see it.
Yeah, like I said, and if you don't go and actually research this stuff, if you just generally go by your source of news media, the right media is never going to play that stuff. You'll just never hear it. I mean, you got to go looking for that, or you either got to watch left-wing media, or you got to go doing research and looking for that. And the problem is, like I said, like with the January 6th hearings committee and stuff like that, they just dismiss all of that as a fraud anyway. So it doesn't matter what comes out of that trial; they're not going to believe any of it. And of course, the negative stuff is never going to be covered.
they intentionally did not watch the hearing. Like, we know that. It wasn't that they didn't have access or they didn't know, you know what I'm saying, that information was out there. They chose not to listen to the stuff, so when they have a conversation, they can just dispute everything and say, I don't shit, what? I don't know. All of the damn people in his realm that we know were committed crimes, they all just get to walk away. They just all got to walk away, even though we know Alina Habba, she signed that paperwork saying that there was no documents, so we know there was. Like, all of them, now she's like the district attorney and attorney general, and what was his little butler boy, the Navy dude, what was his name? The one that was moving all of the documents for him.
I'm trying to think who you're talking about.
Yeah, the guy, they called him he was like his basically servant, the guy who used to go get his damn Diet Cokes and stuff. But he was the one who was moving all of the boxes of secret documents and stuff so the people wouldn't find. Like, he just walking around now in society, he's still running behind Trump and stuff. And they don't care nothing about that. But then they claim to care about crime. About some crime in damn DC in the inner city, which they ain't never been there, never go there. But they talking about, wait, at least he's trying to. Just like the guy said in your other live talking about something. You guys just don't like crime, crime.
Right.
What did he say?
You guys are defending crime. Illegals, illegals just. I mean, the Democrats just want crime.
Right. And then they say, when we say, well, he's just going after these specific black cities because it's against us. No, why are you guys against fighting crime? I wouldn't be. Look, if he did that shit across the board, he said the top 10 cities in America, he's sending out the National Guard into all of them cities, and he was gonna fight crime and put in positive solutions for crime. I would be down for it. But no, you can't just go to the black spot.
Yeah. Well, let's just be real. Most of the areas in this country that have high crime rates are going to be loaded with black people. There's very few places in this country that have a very high crime rate that don't have black people in it. That's going to be more. But the thing about it is, if I agree with you, it's disingenuous the way it's being done. What Trump is doing has a lot less to do with how much crime your city has and more to do with the politics of your city and state. If you live in a red state, it don't matter how much crime that city has. He's not going to send the National Guard in there. It has very little to do with how much crime you has. It has more to do with the politics of your state and the politics of your governor. I mean, Houston is the 4th largest city in the country. There's a lot of crime there. So there's a lot of crime in Atlanta. There's a lot of crime in Memphis, St. Louis. None of those states are ever going to see the National Guard because their governors are red. Now, if they happen to slip and elect a Democrat, all of a sudden the National Guard might pop up. But until that state goes blue, it don't matter what the crime is. You're not going to see the National Guard there.
Right, and then so if you're trying to explain that to somebody I wouldn't just say it was unfair. That's wrong to do that to people. Not saying that I don't want you to fight crime, but fight it all. Don't fight this stuff that's just going to hurt me. And leave yourself unscathed. Like, go to Memphis. You know what I'm saying? Go down there and do the same thing. Go down there. You want to know where the vast majority of the immigrants are at? They're down south. But guess where he want to start his immigration raids at? In California, in New York, in Chicago.
Yeah, it's a liberal attack. I don't think let's be clear. We know Trump is a kind of you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. If you look out for me, I'll look out for you. So the idea that he suddenly is only concerned with making liberal cities crime free and he's going to totally ignore Republicans, that makes no sense. The Trump we know, if he was going to use the government to make towns better, it would typically be in Republican states. There's a reason he's going to liberal states and ain't got nothing to do with the crime. It's to oppress the people and do whatever, pretty much promote his will. Because, if you wanted to make cities better, you're going to start out with those violent cities in Republican areas. That's what you're going to use the government at, because you're paying back the Republicans that voted for you. You all of a sudden you're focused on bettering Chicago and Los Angeles, but you're going to ignore the cities that actually looked out for you. That makes no sense at all.
Right. And and these band of roving criminals, youth, like, how many people are they arrested in D.C.? Like 15 so far? But where are these bands of roving criminals who, these people can't come out of their homes and it's just did you ever see that video I sent you of both of them?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, okay, yeah. It was with him. He was talking about how great the crime rate was and how the mayor was doing good. And 3 months later, he said the whole damn city is just, just trash and it's uninhabitable and people can't walk around. Like, it just,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you stand behind somebody who does that? I can't even imagine if Barack Obama, just came out one day and was like, this is how it's going to be and this is what it is. And then 2 weeks later, he just said the exact opposite. And then I was agreeing with him the first time. And then I turned around and just totally agreed with him the second time. Like, I don't understand how you can do that, unless you're just having a disingenuous.
Well, that's the godlike thing. I'll explain it on the other side, but I do got to move it on. But I do see a lot of similarities in how folks look at Trump, and that's why I say the God thing is. I will explain that, but then Cal, appreciate you coming in here, man.
All right, take care.
Thank you. And what I mean by the godlike complex is this. Let's say you got a relative that is sick, and you're praying that that relative heals and does not leave you, does not pass away, does not meet their maker. You're praying over them. If that individual that's sick suddenly heals, you're going to thank God. He answered your prayers. But if that individual suddenly passes away, you're also going to thank God. God had a better plan in store. I'm just thanking God for the time he gave me with that person. So it doesn't matter what the outcome is, you're going to thank God regardless, because you believe that God always has a better plan. So it doesn't matter really what you're praying for. You're going to be thankful for whatever the outcome is. I think there's a lot of similarities in how MAGA views Trump. Is that if he does what you're hoping, he's a great president. He's looking out for you. If he doesn't do what you're hoping, well, he's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers, and he has a reason for why he's doing that. I really believe it's that way. Is that all of a sudden, if he decided, a good example would be when he took office, Russia was defending their sovereignty. The Ukraine was flirting with World War III. Remember, they didn't have the cards. And that the Ukrainians started the war. Did you see Trump not say that at the Oval Office? MAGA was 100% on board with that. The Ukraine is the most corrupt country on the planet. Russia has a right to prevent its neighbor from becoming NATO. MAGA was 100% on board with that. Soon after, Trump started making it clear that Russia was the aggressor. And if they didn't stop, they were going to be sanctioned and faced all kind of punitive measures. And he began once again doing things behind the scenes to help out the Ukraine. MAGA did not lose a step. They suddenly switched and was with Trump on board with that as well. Doesn't matter what your doesn't matter if your prayers are answered or not. God always has the right idea at heart. In Trump's case, he's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. Many folks have even said the same thing about the Epstein List. Yeah, we voted for him because he was going to be transparent, unlike Joe Biden, and he was going to let everybody know the truth. But then when he got in there and he did just the opposite, he's playing checkers when everybody else is playing chess. He's doing this to get more information. He's doing this not to make sure innocent people are not harmed. Every reason in the book to understand that there's a reason why he is not doing what he had us thinking he was going to do on day one. He's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. Very similar to no matter what God does, he always has the plan and he's doing what's best. You may not know it now, but you will be able to understand later on. They view Trump the same way. You may not understand what he's doing now, but later on, it'll all turn out right and you'll understand. It's very similar to that. Very similar to that. So I do see and understand been talking to MAGA since day one. I understand how they think. I don't think the same way, but I do understand that. It is a lot of similarities to how we view the deity, how we view God. Doesn't matter what you ask for. You're going to be happy with whatever he gives you anyway. That's how we look at God. Doesn't matter. You're praying for a job. You don't get the job. Well, God has something in store. Maybe, he meant for me to be unemployed a little bit longer so that I could get my skills up or whatever the case may be. So whenever I get a job, I'm going to thank God for giving it to me. Even though I prayed for one last week. Doesn't matter. I'm going to be happy whenever he does it. That's kind of the way Trump is viewed. Doesn't matter what you're asking him to do. You're going to figure out that what he did, whatever that was the right thing after all. Very similar. Anyway, looking in the comments before we move on, Trump knows what is going on more than we do. There you go. Exactly. There's a great, simpler way of saying what I just stated by Robert Kennedy. Kennedy, by the way, says Trump knows what is going on more than we do. Kind of reminds me of that song, he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. Very similar to that, so you better be good for goodness sake. We know for sure 100% government isn't good at investing. Fair enough. Real quick, I'll go ahead and move. Trump is not God, though, says Sabrina. No, he's not God. We're not saying he's God. I hope no. Well, some people have said he's God. Some of my viewers do say he's God, but I'm just simply saying whether or not you see Trump as God, and of course I don't think he's God. I'm saying the way his supporters view him delivering on what they're expecting, they view it the same way they view God. Doesn't matter what he delivers. At the end of the day, they tend to believe whatever came out of him was right for this country, even if it's exactly the opposite of what they asked for, even if it's exactly the opposite of what he campaigned on. He's playing chess, everybody else is playing checkers. For some reason, he changed his mind or he made that decision, and I know in my heart it's going to end up being in the best interest of America. I may not see it now, but I'll understand it in the future. Very similar to, once again, how we view God. Anyway, folks, I do appreciate the 45,000 in the likes category. Thank you for tapping the screen. Science isn't God either, says Cedric. All right. I don't know where that came from, but it seems like so far he is sending the military after the people who are standing against him. It's certainly closer to that than just simply being a crime fighter. Certainly closer to that. If Trump was going to make cities safer and better to attend, I don't think anybody believes he would start with liberal cities when there are violent Republican areas out there in states that really supported him. He wouldn't go to the liberal areas first. I think that's pretty obvious. There's something else more to it. You're not going to, out of all of the, if you're going to use government resources to improve the lives of Americans, you're not going to start with Chicago as Trump. You're not going to start with Illinois or Los Angeles and DC. You would start with areas that are in states that gave you a lot of support. So that alone should show you there's something disingenuous about what's going on. I'm 100% for lowering crime, like my last caller Denkow stated, but he's not being upfront with why he's doing it, is the point we're making. You're not going to start with Chicago if you're talking about making this country great again. That's just not where you're going to start with the resources. It's just not. There's an ulterior motive to that. Anyway, I appreciate you folks tapping the screen. As always, you know this program is one where we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Feel free to follow us if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Instagram, Clapper, or TikTok, The Handsome Liberal. How can you say that, Tim? He already started in DC. I didn't say he didn't start. I'm saying that if Trump was going to use government resources to make places in America better, he wouldn't start with liberal areas. Trump rewards those who look out for him. He wouldn't start with DC. That's the point I'm making. And let's say, for instance, let's look at DC and give him credit for the fact that he has powers in DC that he doesn't have in other areas. Okay, fine. So that's why he started with DC, because in DC it's not a state. He has powers there. But he's already mentioned Chicago and Los Angeles being next. He's already made that clear that the next places he go is going to be in other liberal areas. That ain't Trump. We've seen enough of Trump to know he rewards those who reward him. He's not going to go around rewarding liberal states. That makes no sense at all. There is obviously some other ulterior motive. We'll talk about it obviously in shows coming up. We're here Monday through Friday. Generally on the weekday, you enjoy this type of dialogue, this type of program. Follow us, Instagram, TikTok, Clapper, YouTube, The Handsome Liberal across all platforms. I'll catch you guys later. I gotta go. Y'all take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.